Good morning, YouTube. How is everyone? What's up, Willie Smith? Hey, Mungie Mongo. Gia, how are you? What's up, Amy? Nice to see you. Lewis and Grammy. How is everyone? What's up, Sandy? Hello, Alice. Hello, hello. Good to see everybody this morning. We got a lot to talk about. Okay, and now emails are coming in. Hey, Candace. Good morning. Hey, BA. What's up, everybody? If you are on YouTube or Facebook, make sure that you say hello when you come into the comments because I can't see you if you don't. I don't get to see because I'm using a third-party streaming service. So I don't get to see you when you join. What's up? Just here for the dad jokes. Mary Shaw, good to see you as well. Hello, David. Hello, hello. What's up, twin mom? Good to see everybody. Hey, Gayla. What's up, Witch? Hey, Christine is fed up. Donna Ski, good to see you. Hope everybody is doing okay. What's up, Patrice? Good to see you. DJ, Catsmandu, good morning. Penny GF. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody? It is 11 a.m. May the 16th. Good Lord. This whole month had just for me has flown by. What's up, Beach Bum Wannabe? Good mother football. Good morning to you as well. Good morning, Blue Honeypot. I'm glad to see everybody this morning. I got a lot to talk about. Yeah, Amy, we are going to dive into this. Okay, Mel Gray, sounds great. Hey, Allie Nicole, good to see you as well. I am going to, so let me tell you my goal. My goal is to be on here until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. I have an interview at 3 o'clock with some press on something else that I have to be ready for at 3. So that is the goal. I am hoping that the back lets me do this. It has been really, really bad for a couple of days. And so I'm going to try to hang in here and make it the entire 3 hours. That is the goal. That is the goal. That is the goal. What's up, Uka? Good to see you as well. So I'm going to give it a second for folks to get in here. Things that I do want to touch on before we dive into the main topic at hand, because we are going to be talking about Adriana Smith. We are going to be talking about Valerie Marquez. That is the other lady in the image in the picture. What's up, Tiny Dreamer? Hey, Marky. What's up, Salt and Sassy? If you don't know who both of these women are, I'm going to share some information with you about both of them. What I will tell you is that both of them are deceased. And their circumstances and situations are very different. And yet, I believe them both to be a result of the war on women that we have seen increasing and escalating year after year in the United States, but in other countries as well, right? And so I want to talk about that today. Quite a bit. Good morning, Mama. Good to see you. So I'm going to talk about these things, and then you all know me. I am only one of them is Sandy. And I'm also going to talk to you. What's up, Stacy D in the place to be? What's up, Astrid? Good to see you. I'm also going to be talking about just a couple of other things. So, Cassie, while I don't have her picture up here, she's also kind of like another, yeah, I know, Uka. I just got to do what I got to do, right? So Cassie is another prime example of the very male-centered world in which we live. I have seen lots of things and commentary about her testimony in the Diddy case. And I just want to, and we're going to touch on that as well. Before we dive into all of that, let's just start off with like the headlines of the fuckery of the day, if you will. Good morning, Masani. And I hate to say it like that, but it is like that. Hey, Pie Slice. Hey, Sherry. Good to see you all as well. I appreciate you guys. I didn't even reset goals. So whatever the goal is, that's whatever the gifting goal was from yesterday. So we're finished it off. So I love that. Okay, great. For those of you guys that are on Facebook and YouTube, please make sure that you say hello. This is one of hear me when I say this, I'm going to try my absolute best to figure out how this weekend I can get my OBS completely set up to where I can stream directly to YouTube and Facebook at the same time without using Restream. I'm going to try that, see if I'm able to do that. I don't know that I can. What I do know is that both of those platforms do not like it when you are not streaming directly through them. It just has a little bit of a whatever. Just did, Sandy. So I appreciate it. I'm going to try. We're going to see what that is. I've looked into the cost of a green screen and different stuff like that. I just don't know yet. But so I'm just going to do what I got to do until we can do something different, right? It just is what it is. Hey, good morning, LA Johnson. Let me also say this. If you are waiting for the podcast episode, because I had the workshop the night before last, I did not get to it to get it up. And then once I got done with this yesterday, I was done. My back was done and it was over. So, hey, Josephine, good to see you. Yeah. So before we dive into everything, Gumps, give me just a second, okay? So first, you all know that that they are now allowing the Trump administration to push transgender individuals out of the military. That is a thing that is now happening. In addition to that, they have now added, as part of the medical examination for soldiers, they have added the classification of gender dysphoria along with that. Hey, John. Hey, Thomas. Good to see you. So what they are now doing is they are having the yeah Uka, they are having the leadership identify the soldiers in their companies, in their battalions, and so forth and so on. They are having them identify those individuals that are trans, and then they are also having them identify any soldiers that they believe may have gender dysphoria. Oh, thanks, Sandy. I appreciate that. And they are having them sent for a medical evaluation in order to get them out of the military. So you can't say that LGBTQ is going to be next, and the reason why is that's not the executive order, that's not the law that has been passed, and so that's not a thing, right? What we do know is here's what I want us to try to do. Thanks for the alien buddy, Sandy. Listen, we don't have to say, so when we hear something bad that is happening, when we hear something that is negative, let's don't graduate it and project into the future something bad that's going to happen after it. Because what's happening right now is bad enough, right? So let's don't add to it. Let's don't say this is what's coming next. Because here's the thing, we don't know what's coming next. Hey, Farah, good to see you. And I would just rather we just focus on this thing at hand, right? Because they are different issues. They are separate. They would require separate actions, separate executive orders, separate laws, separate all the things. So, hey, Linda Sims. So what I want everyone to try to do, and this is something that, hey, Tootie, this is like a practice of mindfulness, folks, right? To be responsible with your own thoughts and your verbiage, that when you hear something, don't add to it. Don't add anything extra to the negative thing that is already happening. Thank you for the train, Sandy. Okay. So let's just stay with what is, because what is bad enough. But I wanted you all to know that that is a thing that is happening right now. What we do have is we have military people that are being identified either as transgender or as someone that they suspect to have gender dysphoria, and they are having those individuals come for their medical evaluations and to begin transitioning and pushing them out of the military. So that is a thing that is definitely happening right now. So I want you to be aware of that so that you can be writing, calling, doing all the things that you should be doing. You may know some of these individuals. They may be in your families. They may be in your family. Yeah, Becky, it's not, but that it's a thing. So it's okay. But I appreciate you. So just be mindful of that. Okay. I think that there are lots of groups in this country right now that feel like they are under attack. And Eli, if you are active duty and trans, you can't come talk about it because it is a political issue. I would, here's the thing. You might be able to do it and get away with it. I would be hesitant to have you do that just because, I don't know what else they could do as if, because you're already being transferred out. But it's just one of those things where here's what I will say is once you have gone through the process and have been transitioned out of the military, then I would definitely welcome you back and say, come on and talk about the full experience, right? That's what I would say, right? Hey, Sammy J, good morning. Yeah, the shit show continues. So I wanted to let you all know that. Next, there has been another attack from Israel on Gaza. It's in North Gaza, and approximately 100 people have been unalived, right? So I just want to say that there's a lot of talk about that. A physician from the United Kingdom went to a Gaza hospital after the strike on Tuesday and took a tour of a hospital. And then his quote was, "It's quote unquote absolute mayhem," right? And so I think that this is really important that people know about. If you saw yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, one of the founders, one of the co-founders of Ben and Jerry's ice cream got himself arrested, interrupting and protesting in Congress about this very thing, about them unaliving children in Gaza, either from, the actual attacks themselves or starvation, which is a tactic they are definitively using. Good ass trouble. And we love it, right, Stacey D? And I will tell you this, they have a history of this type of protest. They have a history. If you have never been on Ben and Jerry's website, if you've only eaten their ice cream, I highly recommend that you go to their website. They have a whole bunch of information about DEI and about social justice and about racial justice and about equity and about all of the things. When I tell you that they are a phenomenal organization and have been about the business. Yeah, their website and their TikTok is amazing. It was funny. So just a few weeks ago, yeah, follow them on their socials. So just a few weeks ago, I forget who it was. It might have been my niece that said to me, yeah, Cindy, thanks. It might have been my niece who said to me, well, didn't Ben and Jerry's also stop DEI? And I said, well, hell no. I said, I cannot fathom that being a thing. And so, of course, I went immediately and checked it out. And no, it's nowhere remotely close to being true, as you can see. No, they are definitely an organization that is behind all of the things when it comes to equity for all people. And so just so you all know that. So I did want to kind of touch on Gaza. I wanted to touch on the military so that you know that. I made a list so that I could touch on these things before we dive into the topic of the day. Oh, here's the other one. So about 350,000 commuters in the state of New Jersey have found themselves stuck trying to get themselves to work today as the transit workers in New Jersey went on strike today. So they went on strike today. Yeah, it's so much to juggle, Marky. It really is. Yeah, Antoine, I agree. Go for a visit. And they are in Vermont, but so they are on strike. It is definitely happening. The mayor has reacted to it today. I mean, not the mayor, but the governor has reacted to it. So it's about 350,000 commuters in New Jersey and New York City. So the thing to remember is that a lot of people that live in Jersey work in New York and vice versa. And so it is a big deal that these transit workers are on strike. So, so the people that are striking in front of the headquarters, it's the Hoboken terminal, are carrying signs. They're at the headquarters and at Hoboken, and they're carrying signs that say things like "Locomotive engineers on strike" and New Jersey Transit, millions for penthouse views, nothing for train crews, which I love that one. So this goes along with when we talk about effective messaging. When we talk about effective messaging, that's it. Millions for penthouse views, nothing for train crews. That's brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. The more that we can point out the hypocrisy that exists for the 1%, the just enormity of the money that is being, your cousin is down there stepping up. Love that, Linda. But the more that we can point that out, the more that we keep people focused on who the actual quote unquote enemy is. And I don't even like to use that word enemy, but this is the opposition, right? The opposition is the 1%. The opposition are the people that are running corporate America. Those are the individuals that we have an issue with. Appreciate you, Sandy. Sandy's over here TikTok gifting her buttocks off, and I am grateful for that. So thank you very, very much. The TikTok gift that I'm using today is TGIF, which is thank God it's Friday. Not that that changes anything in some of our worlds, right? It used to be that most people think, oh, Friday, it's the weekend. People work on the weekends. People work 24/7. People work from home. Like it just doesn't change anything, but still it is Friday. At least we don't have to get up and take the kids to school in the morning. You know what I mean? So at least that's a thing. Um, so, and the TikTok gift is 1 coin, folks. So I think 1 coin is like half a cent or something like that. I try to always use inexpensive gifts. That way people, if they have any coins, can do it. And if they don't, listen, if you can't gift, don't ever feel bad about that, right? I know the world and the economy that we live in. If you cannot gift, liking the screen, sharing the screen, right? That's how you clap. That's how you also support. If you're on YouTube, subscribing is a great thing to do. I don't have YouTube monetized yet. So if you subscribe on YouTube, it's not costing you any money. If you subscribe on TikTok, it's the lowest thing that TikTok has. It's like $2.99 a month. So there you go. That covers all of those things. Now, they are talking about, hold on, let me get to this part where he says, so they interviewed different people. And this guy, he normally leaves Montclair, New Jersey, and gets into Manhattan. And he said he left home very early this morning because of the strike that he knew was starting today. And he said, you know, he said there are a lot of people in the city that don't come in on Fridays because of ever since C-19. And he said, now I don't know what's going to happen on Monday. Which is a fair point. You know, you do have lighter traffic on Fridays. So it will be interesting to see what happens on Monday with this deal, right? So it comes after the latest round of negotiations on Thursday that did not produce an agreement. It is the state's first strike in more than 40 years, and it comes a month after union members overwhelmingly rejected a labor agreement with management. So remember, we have been talking a lot about the power of unions. Thank you, Sandy. And we have been talking about, you know, what solidarity can do and what it looks like when solidarity is in action. And this is going to be a prime example of this. And so this is the union is the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen. Good morning, Mike. And here's what it says. He says, quote, we presented them the last proposal. They rejected it and walked away with 2 hours left on the clock. So they were like, okay, FAFO, we are going on strike. So they are on strike. Now, this is what's funny. The New Jersey Transit CEO, Chris Collery, described the situation as this. Listen, he called it a quote unquote pause in conversations. Like, that's one way to look at it, Chris. Yeah, I would say it's a pause in conversations, 100%. I wonder how the 350,000 commuters feel about that pause in your conversations today, right? And then this is what the governor had to say. The governor said, quote, I certainly expect to pick back up these conversations as soon as possible. So the governor and Chris Collery, the New Jersey Transit CEO, plan to have a Friday morning news conference this morning. Yes, I got you. Appreciate you. So it'll be interesting, you know, to see kind of how that plays out, what that results in. I did just want to touch on that and point out the fact that it is happening. I think that this is important, you guys. I think that, so here's just my thoughts on these things, okay? As we see resistance happening, as we see people going on strike, as we see people, you know, fighting and finding a spine. And when I say fighting, I don't mean physically, but as we see that, what would be the smartest thing in the world is for every damn Democrat to be on board with these things. So this is when New Jersey legislators should be putting out a statement of support for the people, and they can do it. They can do it in a manner that doesn't, you know, kind of throw the state under the bus, but they should absolutely be saying whatever. Instead of, you know, getting on a plane and going to El Salvador, right? Unless you're going there specifically for a constituent, right? You might want to take your ass down to the picket line with your folks that are in the union. You might want to get down there with the working class people and let them know that you have their back. You know, a lot of those union workers still talk about the fact that Joe Biden walked that picket line as the first president to ever do that, right? There are people that were upset that, you know, that some of the stuff that happened with the Kamala Harris administration, they didn't use union people to build out venues and facilities, although it normally is the venue that determines who they work with, right? But I'm just saying, this is a time when if the Democratic Party is on their game, you want to be, hey, Cheryl, you want to align yourself with those folks. Right, Sharon, Cory Booker. It would be nice to know what his social media is saying today, right? Appreciate you, Janae. What is Cory Booker saying about this? What has he expressed about this? What are the other folks that are legislators in there? And do not forget that New Jersey has an election this year. New Jersey, just like the Commonwealth of Virginia, has a statewide election. So I can promise you that Governor Murphy and all of those folks are concerned about this, as they should be. And because we know that this is an election year, this is when absolutely everybody should get on board with this and apply that pressure, right? In solidarity. I'm just saying, right? So I'm going to shut down the things that I've spoken about because I don't want to, because I have, like, as y'all know, a couple of browsers, 50 different tabs. I've talked about that. I've talked about that. I wanted to get that out of the way. We will talk about the Supreme Court as well, but not right now, because if you are not aware, pbs.org has the entire transcript from yesterday's Supreme Court hearing on birthright citizenship. So I think that that is fantastic. And I want to have a chance to specifically look and see what certain individuals said. What you did see yesterday was the women on the court, all the women on the court, including Amy, right? All the women on the court having the strongest pushback and having the toughest questions for the government's lawyers, right? And that says something. It speaks to exactly what we're talking about right now, right? We are talking about all of these different things. And so it's important to kind of, right, the catch me if you can. But there were several things. And I want to say this. Yesterday, I got the name of the Supreme Court justice wrong. It was actually Brett Kavanaugh that specifically asked the government's attorney about what are states going to do if they get a newborn, right? There are 6,000 newborns every year in the state of New Jersey. So, okay, so a baby is born 35 days from now. And let's just say that the government has won this case and that baby no longer has citizenship. What does the state now do with the disposition of that child? What does that look like? What's the procedure? And when he asked that, the attorney's response was this: well, we didn't get a chance to even figure that out because we got an immediate injunction. Now, here's the thing that I will say. Yes, baby. I don't know. It's just a piece of paper that Dominic had. You want one of these?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me say this. Here's my thing, though. I would think, and this is just me, call me crazy, before you issue an executive order that completely uproots, decades and decades and decades of case law and procedures in this country, that before you issue the executive order that you expect to be implemented in 30 days, that you would have the procedures already damn outlined, so that all you would have to do is, once the executive order is passed and then it's done, then you just hash out anything that doesn't quite go the way you projected it to do, right? Wouldn't you want to have, oh my God, I gave her a piece of that. It's sour. And I just wasn't, some of it was on my finger. And before I thought better of it, I put it in my mouth. I'm not a sour candy girl. Jesus. Anyway, sorry about that, y'all. Got me right here. But you would think that before you do this, you make the plan, right? And by the way, the injunction doesn't mean you can't still figure things out. The injunction says you just can't execute the plan. So wouldn't it be smart, while you have this injunction and you are fighting it in court, to go ahead and figure the damn thing out anyway? But that's the thing, is that they haven't figured it out because they don't have a plan. They have concepts of it. And that's what they have for every damn thing. They've only had concepts of everything when it comes to your healthcare, when it comes to your education, when it comes to, your housing, when it comes to everything. All they have is concepts and no damn idea as to the practicality of making things happen. Now, why is that important? Because they really don't give a damn about what happens to you. The plan that they have absolutely figured out is how to play with the stock market so their billionaire friends make millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. That's what they have figured out. Let me just tell you that. What they do have, no concepts of, but actual damn plans, is how to do all of those things. You hear me? So just so you get that, they have the plan on how they can walk out of here having grifted every damn dollar they can. That is a plan they have completely figured out. Just so you know, they have ideas about how to marginalize and take away rights from people. They have ideas about that, but no concrete like procedures. Like, because here's the thing, I don't think they're actually thinking that some of this stuff is going to pass, because it probably is not, right? But that's the plan, right? So, hey, Veronica, what's up, Patty? All right, hey, Jen, good to see you. And so, just to touch on those things, now I'm going to keep this transcript up because I do want to talk about it either later on in this deal or whatever. But first, I want to talk about the two ladies on the screen, and I'm actually going to talk about Valerie first. Valerie is the woman that is on the right side of your screen in the leopard print. Valerie Marquez is a TikTok influencer. She's also a beauty pageant winner. She won like best face in Mexico, and she has like hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and TikTok and that sort of thing. And so she owns a beauty salon called Blossom the Beauty Lounge, right? And it is in a town in the eastern state of Jalisco, right? And let me tell you what happened. So first of all, let me just tell you this: they are investigating this as femicide. In other words, that she was alive, that this attack on her happened because she is a woman. That's what they're investigating this as, an attack because she is a woman. And I think we just need to sit with that that's what this is being investigated as. If you don't know, which, by the way, let me just be very clear. She was unalived on Tuesday while live streaming on TikTok. I'm going to say that again. She was unalived on Tuesday while live streaming on TikTok. If you all did not know about this. So, yeah, everybody on TikTok is freaking out. Yeah, this is what happened. So she was unalived with a pew pew. So here's what happened. So she was on this live stream, and she was talking to her folks, and she was saying that she was waiting on a courier that was going to deliver a gift. And then she was just, you know how you just talk out loud when you're on here? I'm talking about Valerie Marquez, the lady in the leopard print. And she was talking to her followers as her friend that was there, because she just said to them, you know, I'm a little worried because her friend could not see the courier's face when he arrived. And so she wondered kind of out loud to her followers, and she said, quote, "Why didn't he just drop it off? Right? Were they going to pick me up, kidnap me, or what?" She wondered aloud to her families, right? She was holding a pink stuffed animal. She looked away from the camera and immediately grabbed her chest and belly before collapsing into her chair. Another woman then took the phone and ended the live stream. And so two men on motorcycles had arrived at the salon. One of them asked the victim if she was Valeria. I think I said Valerie. I meant Valeria. And when she replied yes, he pulled out a pew pew and fired twice before fleeing. They are now checking CCTV footage and tracking her media accounts and all of those things to see who these people might be. So the motive is unknown, but they are saying that that it is 100% that they are investigating it as a femicide because that she was targeted because she was a woman. Now, I will tell you this: there were people that were automatically like, oh well, since there's a big cartel in that city, maybe it was the cartel. but there was no connection to her and the cartel, right? It just, you know, I'm just saying. So it's really crazy. You know, the language that we have, it was in Mexico, Jalisco in Mexico is where it is. And so the Mexican president, Claudia, she has said that they are investigating it. They want to find out, you know, exactly what happened and why it happened, right? Um, so anyway, now I will tell you this: there's a lot of things, hey Sean, that about where this happened that it's not yeah, but you couldn't see his face. That's what they were saying, is that the other woman, when they arrived, they couldn't see the courier's face. So whether he had a hood on, whether he had, you know, a mask on or whatever, you couldn't see his face. And he just asked her, was she Valeria? And when she said yes, that's when he did that. And so there's a couple of other things about this. So Jalisco ranks sixth among Mexico's 32 states, including Mexico City, in terms of being unalived at the hands of someone else. Yeah, so yeah, it's Jalisco, Jalisco. Yep. And here's the stuff. So they have 906 H sides, right? Alivings by other people since the beginning of President Claudia Sheinbaum's term in October of 2024, right? It is also one of the Mexican states most affected by the cartels. You know, they had found a training center for one of them in March, about 50 kilometers from there. 15,000 people have disappeared there since 2018. Yeah, I know. I don't know why I'm saying the J. I guess because I'm straight in American brain right now. The J's are H's. Jalisco. I know that, but my brain is just reading. So, but thank you. Um, but yeah, so 15,000 people have disappeared there since 2018. And so it's really crazy. So this was also in the story. Let me just tell y'all this. So the same day that she was unalived, a former congressman named Luis Armando Cordoba Diaz was unalived as well, just 2 kilometers away from her. So, according to the state of Jalisco, as many as 90% of crimes are never reported or investigated. There are claims and accusations that the state attorney's office has long been accused of having links to the cartels, which of course it denies, right? And so they are saying that so far they have no reason to believe that her unaliving is in any way related to criminal organizations, groups, or cartels. But they say that actually they believe it to be motivated by her gender, that someone wanted her unalived due to the fact that she was a woman. And I guess that she is a woman who was popular, who had influence, who was successful, who owned her own business, who was whatever. And so it's interesting. So we'll just see. This is what they said so far. So, quote, all statements and clues, including videos and social media posts, are being analyzed. The investigation is being conducted under the femicide protocol with a gender perspective, without revictimization, and in accordance with the principles of legality, impartiality, and respect for human rights. Now, gender-based violence is a serious problem in Mexico, the country that ranks fourth. It's a country that ranks fourth in Latin America and the Caribbean for rates of femicide, behind Paraguay, Uruguay, and Bolivia. Right? Yeah. So Sugar Plum, I'm very familiar with Juarez. I have been there and visited. And so, you know, this is something that is an issue in Mexico. So, according to the latest data from the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, which is ECLAC, there were 1.3 unalivings per every 100,000 women in Mexico in 2023. Less than 48 hours before Valeria was unalived, Yesenia Lara Gutierrez, a mayoral candidate for Morena, which is the ruling party in the city of Texistepec, Veracruz, was unalived while participating in a political motorcade. So, like Valeria's situation, it was caught on cameras because the event was being live streamed on Facebook. So, when I say, that's why the title of this live today is The War on Women and Its Consequences. And I don't know why there's an apostrophe there, because I'm tired as hell. You know, and I know that that's not what it should say. So let me fix it, because it bothers my soul now that I see it. I have got to get my keyboard fixed. This laptop that I have has been with me through all the protests. So it has been outside with dust and dirt, and my keyboards or my things are starting to stick, and I either get double letters or whatever, and I need to take it and have it cleaned out. That is what I need to do. But for now, I'm just going to fix the damn apostrophe that shouldn't be there. Good gosh. Oh, low B. We're going to be all right. Right, y'all? Okay. So I think it's really important. John, I don't know if I need a new one or what, but yeah, I've had this one. So, like, to be real, I've had this one since 2018. So yeah, pretty soon, y'all know how it is. If you have a Mac, a laptop, or whatever, once you start hitting that 7-8 year mark, I think they make it so these damn things die and you are forced to get something new. But yeah, so it's just one of those things. But let me go ahead and put this over here. So but yeah, so it's a MacBook, and I love it because it connects to all my things. But let me go ahead and, yep, just like cell phones, 100%. So hold on, I'm going to change this image for you guys. All right, so let me get you up here real quick. Whew, geez, oh Pete. All right, boom. Let's do that. Ha! Now it looks like I can actually spell, because I really can. Ask my mama. She made sure I could spell and speak well. So I promise you, I know that it's not an apostrophe in there, but it is now fixed. All right, so let me fix it over here for you guys real quickly. Yeah, I think, you know what? Here's my thing, Don Joy. I think that whenever people hear something with regard to a cartel of this, of that, or whatever, I think the natural instinct is to make it, to assume, just to, because it makes it more exciting. It makes it more whatever, right? If it could possibly be a cartel, then it would be like something that you'd see in the movies and whatever, right? And I think, you know, here's the thing. Most of the time we know that that crimes are a matter of proximity the majority of the time. And then if they're not a matter of proximity, they are very rarely random. There's usually a connection. Something has happened. And it falls under, you know, a couple of different categories as to why and how it may or may not happen to a particular person. You know what I mean? And so this is just absolutely, oh, thanks, Gunk. I appreciate that. So it's just absolutely heartbreaking, but here we are. And I think that it's important for people to be aware of. Now, let me just say this. I don't want anybody walking around scared. Awareness is not, I don't want awareness to equal fear. I want awareness to equal prudent caution, right? Appropriate protective measures, right? So let me just say this. By the time you all see, unless it is a not necessarily DV, DV is not necessarily that, no. But let me just say this, unless it is an event that I am at and I am talking about being at the event for the public, you almost never see me post where I am until I have been there and gone. Listen, if you see a picture and it has me tagging a location, I'm not there anymore. I have been there and gone. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's just not a thing that I do. When I take pictures, listen, when I take pictures, even if it's of the kids or whatever, I look at my background in my picture to see if there are identifying landmarks, words, whatever. I do. I post vacation pics when I'm back home, although I have not been on a damn vacation and I don't know how long, right? But seriously speaking, I look in the background for things. There have been times where I've gone to take a picture of the kids when we're out on a walk and then notice that one of the street signs is in the image. And I'll either crop that sucker out or take a different picture, right? What's up, Slick Nasty? So checking your background is a good thing. Turning off your location data in your phone, it might be cool because it sorts your pictures based on where you took them. But guys, that information, that geo data can be in the picture when you post it. So take the location services off of your photos. Y'all hear me? Like, just saying. In my apps, if I want it to use my location, it is marked that it can only use my location when I'm using the app. And then I close that sucker out, right? I'm going to tell you another thing. Do not set your GPS with the actual address of your home. Don't put in your phone home with your real address. Don't put in your car's GPS home so that when you push home, it goes to your real house. Because then anybody who steals your car can push home and take their ass to your home. Don't put in home. Don't put in work. Don't put in school. Don't put in doctor's office. Don't label where you go. Right? These are things, see, look at y'all going, oh shit. These are things that it's just good practice. We do live in a world where, and here's the thing. Let me just say this. I don't believe that we are any more unsafe than we've always been. Here's what I believe. I believe that we are more informed about our unsafety than we've ever been. What's up, Phantom? And here's what I mean by that. What's up, Catsmandu? So let me just say this. Listen, if you look at all of these shows that are on ID, and Abdul said, I'm gonna have to undo some stuff. See, there you go. So listen, a lot of these crime shows, y'all, they're telling the same stories on three or four different shows. Okay, so listen, I have seen the military man who unalived his wife. She was successful. She'd started a business. She worked out all the time. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? Because she's unalived. She was unalived on Tuesday while live streaming on TikTok. But what I'm telling you is I have seen that story about him and his wife, right? I have seen him on Taking the Stand. I have seen him on one of the idea ones. I have seen that same case on 4 or 5 different shows. And I think that a lot of times when we see all of these different shows, it gives you this idea that there's just so much crime and there's so much violence, when in reality, violent crime in the United States of America has been decreasing for a long, long time. And let me just tell you this, the number one unaliver of women are our male counterparts. That is not the same thing. That is not true of the number one unaliver of men. It is not your partner. It is for women. That is why when people say I would choose the bear may or may not attack me and undo me, but the number one unaliver of women is not bears. So, but it is men. It is your significant other. Um, and so I think it's important for people to just take appropriate precautions. It's not about living in fear. It's just about doing the things that you know to be safe, right? It just is that. Be mindful when you post things. Be mindful what's in your backgrounds. Be mindful of those types of things. Period. Right? And when you choose the bear, you know it's a bear. When you choose the bear, you know it's a bear. You pick a dude and you don't know what you're getting. Not really. You just don't know. You know? Um, so just to kind of put that out there. Another thing that another example, let me just say this. Another example of how male centered we are is so Cassie, who is 8 months pregnant, right? Cassie, who is 8 months pregnant, is going into her fourth day of testimony in the Diddy case, right? Fourth day, reliving years upon years of trauma. She began talking about the hotel footage that we've all seen, but there was an extended version of it that the jury has seen, which you can now watch online. And here's what people have been saying, because let me just say this. So her husband has been at the courthouse every day supporting her. And there are actually people online that are saying things like, gosh, I feel so bad for her husband having to hear all of this stuff that happened to her. Okay, wait. Did you really just say that you're more concerned about the husband hearing her trauma than the woman reliving her trauma? Really? Really, 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 really? So now we're going to center the man in the story of her trauma. And by the way, he already knows the trauma. I can promise you, before she filed the lawsuit, before she took this on, knowing what it was going to cost her, I can promise you, he knew about it. I can promise you, they talked about it. They discussed if it was going to be worth it. They knew everything they were going to say about her. They knew everything that the jury, that the defense attorneys were going to try to say about her. You all know that, right? So I think it's really important for people to remember, don't center yourself in the middle of someone else's trauma. Like, let's just don't that. Let's don't do that. And for goodness sake, could we not center men in the middle of a woman's trauma? But it just is another solidifier. It's just another piece. The decision hasn't come out yet, Sugar Plum. But, listen, this is just another example of how patriarchal and how men-centered our world is and our media. Right? Right. That is literally the point. That is the literal point of this live. 100%. Right? 100%. So the next part that we are going to talk about is the woman on the left in the blue shirt. That is Adriana Smith. And I know that many of you know her circumstances right now, but I want you to bear with me for a second while I share with everybody else what has happened with her and her family. So let me just say this. Adriana already has a little boy who is, I believe, I want to say, appreciate you doing the team heart. I want to say he's like maybe 5 or 6. And this is a trigger warning for everyone, because we're now going to get into a conversation about AB laws and those types of things. Okay. So everyone knows that in 2019, the state of Georgia passed what they refer to as the heartbeat bill. and it just says you cannot get an AB after 6 weeks. When a cardiac activity, what they believe, what will be cardiac activity can be detected. The problem with that, as we know, is that many people don't even know that they're pregnant at that time. That it's super early and all the problems. Now, here's what happened: is as soon as the Dobbs decision happened in 2022. As soon as the Dobbs decision happened in 2022 and Roe v. Wade went away, okay, that became a trigger law where it was just triggered, and now all of a sudden it became law in the state of Georgia. So here's what happened. Adriana, in February of this year, was pregnant. And she went to Northside Hospital, which I have been in. I've been to Northside Hospital. And she was complaining of these headaches, right? And they gave her some medication. They released her. The very next day, her significant other woke up to her gasping for air, couldn't breathe. She was taken to Emory Hospital, which is where she is currently. And she had blood clots to her brain. And yeah, they didn't do any scans. They didn't do anything. They gave her medication for her headaches and released her. The next day, turns out she had blood clots. And so she was considered brain dead, or unalive, right? Legally unalive, in February of this year. Okay. Now, I want to point something out for you. Well, first, let me just go ahead and finish the story. The hospital, Emory Hospital, is requiring the family to leave her on life support in order for the fetus to be delivered. And because of Georgia's law. And they are saying that the family has to pay for the medical care. Now, here's where I have a serious problem with NBC, the Today Show, with 11 Alive. Let me talk about these news agencies. Shame on you. Because let me tell you what those news agencies are doing. If you look up Adriana Smith, the picture that you are going to see 9 times out of 10 is a picture of her in a dark blue dress, and her hand is on her belly, and she's very, very pregnant. Listen to me. This part is important. Stop talking for a second. Listen. Stay focused, y'all. Listen. The picture that you are going to see, she's in a blue dress and she's very pregnant. But that is her first pregnancy with her son from years ago. That is not her today. That is her previous pregnancy from her first child. She is not that pregnant. They used that picture to make it seem like they were keeping her alive for this very pregnant baby to be born. No. Guess how far along she was when she was legally dead. When she was legally brain dead, guess how far along she was. She was 9 weeks. She was 9 weeks. She's 21 weeks now. She was only 9 weeks. So there was no showing. There was no viability. There was nothing. She was 9 weeks. So the family, the baby's dad, they are still having to visit her in the hospital, watch her belly grow, and she is legally dead. She is a human incubator. Now, let me tell you this part, because this is the part that if you're not mad enough I'm going to make you angrier already. So I want to tell you this. I know, unalived. I know. Her 5-year-old son even is still visiting her in the hospital. Now, let me just tell you this. Guess what is the issue? The child, the fetus, has fluid on the brain. The fetus that they are forcing the family to keep her alive for, her on life support for, has fluid on the brain and may not make it. So I just want to be clear. She was 9 weeks when she unalived from clots on her brain. The hospital required that the family keep her on life support in order for this embryo to become a fetus, to become a baby and be born because of Georgia's law. The family is responsible for the medical bills, not the state, not the hospital, but the family. The family, and the baby has fluid on its brain. So may be born blind, may not survive, may not be able to walk. Those are all the things that the doctors have shared with her could be a result of what's happening. So let's talk about this. Because this is not, let me just say this. It's important that we are correct about a couple of things. I saw someone in the comments say Henrietta Lacks. This is not that. Okay. So I want us to be clear because it's important that we make accurate references and we don't blend issues that are not the same, because then it just gets muggled up and it dilutes the message. Okay. So when we talk about Henrietta Lacks, that was a situation where she was going to Johns Hopkins, okay, for treatment. And when they were evaluating her cells, they realized that her cells never unalived, okay? So Johns Hopkins kept her tissue. They stole her cells without her approval. And basically all of your healthcare, all of your stuff, they use her cells. So that is the story of Henrietta Lacks. Now that Johns Hopkins finally settled with the family in 2018, I believe, over that, but that is not this. This is completely different. Now, if you do want to hear about other things, whether that's forced sterilization, whether that is, surgeries with no types of anesthesia, all of that, you can do that. Also, what info, Pinya? What info are you asking about? So if you really want to know about those things, then you want to read this book. This book will tell you about all different types of things like that. Okay. Oh, thanks, Phantom. Because they've reported it. The family is literally talking about it. I mean, who do you think is going to be financially responsible? Yeah, the responsibility is 100% on the family because she's getting medical care. It doesn't matter that the state law means she has to stay there. We think it should be the state, but it is not. Hold on. So, Give me 1 second. There's all kinds of different. By the way, she was also a nurse. I just want to say that she was a nurse technician. She was a nurse as well. So hold on 1 second. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I typed that wrong. Give me 1 second, folks. Oof. I can't read that. Can the body give the baby what it needs while she is alive mechanically? Yes, because your body, if the machines are replicating what your brain would normally do, your body is going to continue to do what it always does. Because remember, her heart, you can't transfer her. You can't transfer her. She's not stable enough for transport. She's literally being kept alive by machines. You can't transfer her. You can't transport her from one facility to another at this stage. It's not possible. So just so everyone understands that it's not a possibility. It can't be done. Just so everybody knows. So, I'm scanning this real quick because I have a couple of different ones pulled up. And I gotta find the one that I want to see in. Yeah, she's in the heart of Atlanta. She's on Emory, which is right in Midtown Atlanta. Yeah, and the hospital is saying they cannot comment on because of federal privacy rules. Da 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 da. She was at the university, then she was transferred to Midtown. That's where she's at now. And this is what the statement is. Quote, Emory Healthcare uses consensus from clinical experts, medical literature, and legal guidance to support our providers as they make individualized treatment recommendations in compliance with Georgia's AB laws and on all other applicable laws. Our top priorities continue to be the safety and well-being of the patients we serve, which is just bullshit because this has nothing to do with the patient. This has to do with Georgia's law. That's all it is. And they wanted a choice. So they want her to remain on life support through at least 32 weeks of gestation. That means another almost 3 months. That, No, there was no opportunity for a DNR. She unalived from blood clots to her brain. This is not a case of resuscitating her because it's not her heart. You don't resuscitate the brain. Hold on 1 second, baby. Okay, let me fix your hair real quick. So there's no resuscitating when it's your brain, right? That is when the issue has to do with your heart. This is a neurological, she is brain unalive, right? And so that's the problem. It has nothing to do with a DNR or anything else. She had blood clots to the brain. That is what transpired. And so as a mom, I would want my kid to life. Okay. Let me just first see if you're a real person. So let me just be clear. Do not be afraid. I invited you to come up to the panel. I would love to chat with you. We can have a respectful conversation about your views and mine. So can you join the panel for me? Do not be afraid. You have enough followers and you follow enough people to make that happen. So could you do me a favor and join the panel so we can discuss it? The hospital won't comment specifically about her, but they are commenting about like in general. That's what that comment was. Yeah, Tracy, 100%. So do not be afraid. Can you please come up on the panel? See, this is when it gets very frustrating because there are people that are making comments, saying things in the comments, and I'm inviting you to have a conversation, just like a regular, respectful conversation about your comment. And the reason I am is because you specifically asked me a question with your comment. You said, as a mom, I would want my child to life. I know you meant live. And then you said, wouldn't you? No, not with that many followers. They're not bots. Nope. And so my thing is simply this. If you want to have that conversation with me, then get up on here and let's have the conversation. Because we can talk about this 100%. And let me just be clear about something. Since we want to go there. So when you are asking me as a mom, I would want my child to live. Well, so if I, as a mom, well, I talked about the woman on the right already first. Okay. Thanks, Buffini, for resubscribing. So let me just say that I talked about the woman on the right. That is Valeria Marquez. Okay. She was unalived on TikTok during a live stream on Tuesday. And they are investigating it as femicide, that she was specifically targeted because of her gender. So, right. Well, the fetus hasn't been viable for her, Savannah, since the thing. So let me just be clear. Not so loud, right? So let me be clear. Adriana Smith was 9 weeks along when she unalived. 9 weeks, folks. There's no viability. There's no nothing. That's not even through your first trimester yet. Okay. So when you talk about, I would want my child to live, there is no child at 9 weeks. There's no baby at 9 weeks. It's not a thing. It is not a thing. It's tissue. It's cells, right? It's not even a fetus at 9 weeks. So I want to be clear that when she unalived, she was 9 weeks. Well, Stephanie, come talk to me about it. If you're a real person and not a bot, join the panel and come talk to me about it. And somebody see if Dr. Emmy is around. Well, the reason you were under that impression is because the media is using a picture of her when she was pregnant 6 years ago with her son. That's why people thought she was way further along. That is why people think she's so much further along. Because she is 100%, they are 100% using a picture from her first pregnancy that was 6 years ago. She has a 5-year-old son. Adriana is unalived because she had blood clots on her brain. That's what happened. We don't know. I don't know that, Winn-Dixie. But the bottom line is nobody expected her to unalive. She went to the doctor because she had headaches, right? They gave her some medicine. They sent her home. The very next day, her boyfriend or husband woke up to her struggling to breathe, to get air. And then she was taken to the hospital. She had blood clots on her brain and she unalived. She is legally brain unalived. That's the deal. The hospital, they can't sue the hospital, Sarah. They have no legal grounds to sue the hospital. And the reason why they don't have any legal grounds is because the hospital is following Georgia state law. They don't have grounds to sue the hospital. Well, but so she went to Northside for a headache. They don't normally, when somebody comes in and they have a headache, they don't normally send you for scans of your head or everything just for a headache. If you don't have any history of blood clots, if you don't have any, if there's no reason, so y'all, brain aneurysms happen all the time. She wasn't misdiagnosed with headache. She had a damn headache. So those are completely different things. The family said they want a choice. That's what they said. Now, a couple of things. Here, can you? Well, no, you can't. There's no abuse of a corpse. No, there's no abuse of a corpse. In what way? Do you all know the legal definition of abuse of a corpse? She is legally unalived, but she is not medically unalived. No, there's no abuse of a court. No, I wouldn't say Northside did anything wrong. I would say that if you get up tomorrow and you have a headache and you go to urgent care at Northside, right? And you don't have anything else going on and you just have a headache, they're going to give you headache medication, migraine medication, and send your ass home. That's what they're going to do. Unless you have something in your history that would give them a reason to think that you, like, do y'all understand how rare it is for people to have blood clots on their brain? No, they are not supposed to look more into a headache, Sarah. No, they're not. Are you familiar with EMTALA? Because I can tell you what they are required to do. It's called the EMTALA law. It's just crazy to me, the things that y'all are saying, because they're not accurate. Yes, baby.
I want to say hi to people.
Okay. Mila said she wants to say hi to the people. Tell them.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. You want to tell those people too? Grammy's on this one. You want to say hi to Grammy?
Hi, Grammy.
Hi, Grammy. Look, they're saying hi, Mila girl. See them? They gave you a hat and a mustache. You see my glasses? Look at the popcorn girl. Okay. All right. Hop up there so I can finish because I need to pull up a couple things for them. Okay. Okay. Let me finish. Hop up there. Okay. So let me just say this. Okay. Listen, because some of y'all are just talking and I'm wondering, do you really have any desire to like understand this? You all, you never know if you're going to have a brain aneurysm or bleeding on your brain ever. It is a thing that just happened. How do I know? Because my best friend unalived from the exact same thing. December of 2016. The exact same thing. He was complaining of a headache, sitting in his living room with his aunt, right? Sitting there. I've got a headache. He said, I'm going to go lay down. He stood up. That blood went boom, straight up to there. And guess what? They rushed him to the hospital. The blood was on his brain. They took off half of his skull, trying to release the pressure. None of that worked. And he unalived. Listen, if you go to the hospital with a headache and you have no history of blood clots, if you have nothing other than a headache, there is nothing, the hospital is not going to do what they would consider to be unnecessary scans. Because guess what? Your insurance is not going to pay for a CAT scan, a CT scan of your head because you got a damn headache. You hear me? No, Deb, there is no butt pregnancy. She was 9 weeks at the time. And I don't even think she knew she was pregnant. They would have no reason to think that. She was 9 weeks, not 29 weeks. She was 9 weeks. It's not an emergent thing. There is no, let me just be clear here. There is no fault of the hospital. None. None whatsoever. The fault is on the state legislature in the state of Georgia. That's who the issue is. The issue and all of the responsibility here is on the Georgia state legislature. That's the problem. Those are the people that are the damn problem. The Georgia state legislature. The hospital is avoiding those doctors and the hospital losing their license and being sued by the state. Y'all understand that? You understand that, right? This is the problem of the politicians. That's who the problem is. Y'all busy trying to make the hospital responsible for something the hospital didn't have anything. They had zero parts in this. The hospital is in a no-win situation. And I want to be clear about something. I can promise you those physicians are absolutely feeling horrible about this. It is the politicians' fault because it is the law that they passed that made this happen. Miss Chrissy, I did talk about the woman on the right, so I might circle back to her in a minute. They did not ignore her headaches. Dear God in heaven. Y'all, she had a headache one damn day. She went to the hospital that damn day. She got medication that damn day. The next day, she woke up unable to breathe, was taken to the hospital, and unalived from bleeding on her brain. Nobody ignored anything. Nobody ignored anything. Do y'all listen? Do y'all listen at all? Sweet baby Jesus. Nobody ignored anything. And by the way, a scan would not have changed shit. Because let me give you this. Let me give y'all this. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, let's just say that she goes to the hospital and she has a headache, and the hospital says, we're going to do all of these scans and stuff, whatever, right? So let's just say, I'm just going to give you some fun stuff. Let's just say she gets there at noon, okay? Noon. She's in the waiting room. What's the average waiting room time these days, you guys? Maybe she's in the waiting room 45 minutes to an hour. She gets taken back to her room after she gets her vitals done. She sits in that waiting room for, I don't know, another 45 minutes till a nurse comes in. They do blood work. They have her pee in a cup. They blah, 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 right? And then they go wait on those results. They come back. Nothing's abnormal, blah, 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 whatever. They ask her, does she feel, what are her other symptoms beside a headache? And they send her back. She has a CT scan. How long does it take for the neurologist to read the CT scan and for them to put her in their hospital? They put her in their hospital, and guess what? They see she's got bleeding on the brain. Guess what happens? The same damn result. The same result, y'all. Like, ain't nothing changing. Nobody's giving you a CT scan when you do not have a history of blood clots. Yes. So listen, when she unalived, no, I don't have to be there with her. I'm actually well informed when it comes to healthcare and procedures. That's what I am. I was not in the room with her, but I'm very, very, very well informed when it comes to healthcare and the procedures. Are you? Are you? The person who asked me, was I in the room with her? How much do you know about healthcare? The person who said to me, was I in the room with her? Can you tell me how much you know about healthcare? That's my question for you. I don't know if they know my background, Jen. I don't know. Probably not. They probably just in here chappity chapping. No, Terry Bora, nothing can override this. Advanced directives have nothing to do with this. This is not a case of there's no malpractice. No. So this is the issue, you all. I need for you all to understand this. Okay. Oh. So Miss Sassy says she got the CT scan on the second visit, but she passed prior to surgery. That's what Miss Sassy is saying. Let me look, because the two articles that I've read in the family statements, I haven't seen that part discussed. So give me a second. I think y'all are missing the point, though. I think y'all are missing the point. The point is not whether or not she got a CT scan. That's not the problem. The issue is that when she unalived, the point is this, let me be clear. The point is that when she unalived, the hospital and Georgia state law has now told the family that they have to keep her on life support until she is 32 weeks. And she was only 9 weeks when she unalived. That's the point. The point is they are forcing this family to keep her alive on machines for, let me see, 32 minus 9. Y'all do the math, right? For 23 weeks. For 23 weeks. That's the problem. For almost 6 months. Now, somebody tell me who's going to pay for the trauma to the family, for the family's therapy, for the 5-year-old son's therapy. Who's paying for them? Because do you have any idea how much trauma is being done to the family, to the mother, to the daddy, to the son that already exists? Right. And then there's the hospital bill, which, by the way, you all, the hospital is not responsible for this. You're a patient. You pay for your hospital bills. Do you want to know why? Because the United States of America does not have universal health care. Her family will get the hospital bill, y'all. There's nothing about this that makes it any different. Why would they not get the hospital bill? There is no but the baby. There is no but the baby. The point is this: the only reason there's a fetus today is because they were forced to keep her as a human incubator when she unalived. Her mother said yes, Trish. Her mother said she would have had an AB because the fetus has fluid on its brain. So if you want to talk to me about this for real, come join the panel. Stop asking me in the comments. Come join the panel. Let's just do all of this up here on the live in the panel. When I bring you up, please put yourself on mute until I can get to you, please. So if you want to have this conversation with me, come on up here and get on the panel. Well, because her mother would have talked to her. You do realize, y'all, how would her mother know? How does your mother know? How does your family know in any situation? Let me just ask y'all this. So you do realize that if you take your ass, if you were in a hospital wreck and you don't have a living will and you don't have advanced directives and you don't have none of that, they come to your family and they say to the family, what would they have wanted us to do? And the family makes the damn decisions. Y'all get that, right? That's what happens. Because those are the people that would know your wishes. That's how it happens. You don't got a husband? They ask your mama. That's what they do. Like, I can't with y'all. Y'all don't understand. This is not about anything other than she was 9 weeks when she unalived. Period. The only reason this is an issue is because the Georgia state legislature put an AB ban in place that at 6 damn weeks. That's the problem. That is the problem. At 6 weeks. That's the problem. I just think some of y'all want to say shit just to be saying stuff. I really do. Come on, Freedom Days. I don't even think you're real, but if you are, hell no, you're not real. Zero followers, zero following. Bye. Just blocked. I can't. Mods, go ahead and check followers and followings. If they ain't got nothing, just go ahead and block and be done. Because I can't. I'm not doing it with people today. Skeptic Unicorn, come on up here. I just sent you an invitation to come to the panel. You have a lot of questions for me, so come ask them so that we can have this conversation in a timely manner. It's too much to go back and forth with 549 different people in a chat. Just join the panel and you can ask what you want to ask. Stephanie, what you got for me? Ooh. Stephanie. I don't think she intended to request. Max. Nope. Didn't mean to. Sometimes people tap and they end up here when they don't mean to. Chella. Hikerdelic, that's not how it works. So like when you request up, typing at me in all caps and saying put me up, that's not how it works. And I actually have up here to please not use all caps. Chella. Nope. Blue Honey Pot, what you got for me?
Good morning. I really feel like from the comments they're not seeing the forest for the trees.
I see in the comments they're not seeing shit.
True. Think about it, guys, like this. If she would have died in the car on the way to the hospital,
unalived.
Yep, unalived, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It all took place because she was in the hospital when it happened. So the questions we need to be asking of young people, if you could possibly become pregnant, what do you want to do in the state of Georgia if something like this happens to you? DNRs, this, that, and the third that everybody keeps bringing up has no bearing on any of this. Nothing. And as far as the baby, everybody wants a baby to live. Everybody does. It doesn't always work out that way. Now this poor child has things that could possibly be wrong. RFK doesn't like any children that have things wrong with them. So you're now bringing in a burden to this family that they're going to have to deal with. This little boy whose mom went in the hospital, she doesn't come home, and the little baby does. And so what does he think about that? How do you explain that to him? So if you're pro-life, fine. But there are situations that science are able to do things that they might not should. That's really just my opinion on it, Danny.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a complicated scenario.
I don't think so.
It's not complicated at all. It's very simple, right? It's very simple. So listen, all you pro-lifers that are saying you would want a baby, then come on up here on the panel and let's talk about it.
Oh, and also
Because this is what I'm going to say to you. If you want a baby, go have one. If you cannot have one, go adopt one. There are plenty of babies sitting in foster care and adoption centers all across this country. If you would like one, go get one. But what you would like doesn't have shit to do with what other people want to do.
Exactly.
It's just that simple. Yeah, her baby is very sick. The fetus has fluid on its brain, may be blind, may not be able to walk, and may not survive. So, period. If you want to say, yeah, it's just that simple.
Baby comes and it dies. now what do y'all say? And then now the family's got to pay for all this.
Well, not only that, I just want y'all to understand this situation that is happening right now. No, it will not. The doctors have already said this is a fetus that will not be healthy at birth.
A bouncing baby.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. Let me just be damn clear. And before you say that, and you want to talk to me about prayers and Jesus, I'm going to tell you that not everybody believes in your prayers and your Jesus, and the doctors know what they're talking about. Okay? We're going to talk about medical facts, not faith, because those are two different things. Period. Okay? The family is legally responsible, Pena. Tell me how they wouldn't be. Good God, I cannot. So anyway, I am going to bring some more folks up here. Please put yourself on mute until I get to you. And I'm going to level set because there's almost 600 people in this room. And I need to make sure that everyone knows kind of how we do things in this space. Okay. So number one, okay, she may not have an estate. Low B. Okay, so couple things. Number one, in this space, we like to talk facts and sources to support opinions. You can have an opinion, 100%. You can have an opinion. That does not mean that your opinion is valid. There's a difference. I can respect the fact that everyone has the right to their opinion. I am going to ask you to back up your opinion with facts and sources. And if you cannot do that, then you'll have a problem. You'll have difficulty having a respectful conversation with me because that's just what I ask people to do. Next, I do ask for everybody to be respectful. I ask for people to not use slurs. I ask for people to not spam the comments, and I ask for people to not use all caps. And the reason why is nope, Katie, that's the difference. I actually back mine up. I will give you my opinions and back them up. So if you want to bring your backup and compare your backup to my backup for my opinions and your opinions, we can do that. We can go opinion and source all day damn long. I will meet you there. I will see you and raise you. 100%. I will meet you right there in a very respectful exchange of your opinion, my opinion, and facts and sources. Let me know if you're game, because I am. That's your invitation right here to the panel. There's one more space up here waiting for you, Katie. It's all you. That is an invitation. I am absolutely willing to put my opinions, my facts, and my sources on the table with yours. So let me know if you're game for that. If not, don't talk shit in my comments. Low B. Okay. So next, don't spam the comments, please. And don't use all caps. All caps are reserved for moderators and the folks who are vision impaired. Those are the people that are all caps, right? What would have happened if no heartbeat Bill was here? Then What do you mean? Nothing would have happened. She was only 9 weeks. There was nothing to happen. If there was no heartbeat bill in place when when Adriana passed away, let me just be clear, then the clump of cells would have passed away with her. The clump of cells would have unalived with her at the time because she was only 9 weeks. There was no fetus. There was no heartbeat. There was nothing. It was a clump of cells. She was 9 weeks along. So this is the thing that is important for people to understand. Without the Georgia heartbeat bill, when Adriana unalived, so would the tissue cells in her body. That's what have happened. Yes. Yeah, I got it for you already. It's in your bluey cup. That's what would have happened. No, Francis, you're incorrect. A heartbeat is not what happens. What does happen is electrical activity between cells that later develop into a heart. And what you hear on an ultrasound machine is an actual sound that the machine gives that electric conduction. That's what happens. She had bleeding on her brain. That's what happened to Adriana. Valeria, for those of you guys who are coming in asking me about the other woman on the screen, Valeria was unalived with a pew-pew on Tuesday while she was live streaming on TikTok. It is being investigated as femicide because they believe she was targeted due to her gender. So now that we've level set, you are more than welcome to come on up in here. Okay? Appreciate you, Blue Honey Pot. I think Phantom wants to give like a little bit of information for people, and then I'm going to go from Phantom to Savannah, and we're going to go right up the panel.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Danny's Live. For those of you that are new here, please subscribe, tap the screen, share live, and make sure you do your daily heart means to Danny while she takes her break. For those of you that aren't subscribed, new subscribers, want to subscribe. Once you subscribe, you can join Danny's Discord, which is for both subscribers and unsubscribers. For those of you that are not subscribed, go to Danny's profile, tap on her Linktree profile, and there's a little robot remote control thing in the top of her Linktree that you can tap on to join her Discord, the unsubscribed section. For those subscribed on TikTok, after you subscribe, you can hit the star at the bottom of your screen, the bottom left. In there, you will see Discord and a connect button. If you tap on connect, it will connect you to Discord and give you the subscriber badge for your TikTok handle. For those of you on YouTube and Facebook, and those of you that want to subscribe to Danny directly on TikTok, or that are here on TikTok, once you hit her Linktree and go through her Discord on her Linktree, as you go through your verification process on Discord, the last screen on there is her subscriber screen to subscribe with her directly through Discord. And there's different levels of subscription over there to get more perks when you subscribe to her directly.
Yeah.
And thank y'all, everyone. I did have fun on my vacation.
I'm so glad you did. You're going to have to tell us all about it in the subscribers chat because I want to know.
Yeah,
I want
a video on TikTok as well.
Yay. Okay. We're going to check it out. So for those of you all who do not know, Phantom runs my Discord and is amazing and fantastic and all the things. And he keeps people informed about how to do things. So whether you subscribe to me or not, if you go to my Linktree, which is in all my profiles on TikTok, on Facebook, and on YouTube, there's a little video controller, like a little game controller. That's the thing to my Discord. When you go in there, there's a verification process. Why? Because we are very protective of our community because we actually support each other. Okay. Once you go through that, if you want to subscribe to me directly and not through TikTok, that's the last step in that process. So that is how you get it. There is a non-subscriber side of Discord and a subscriber side of Discord. You do not have to subscribe to participate in the free workshops that I do. But to do movie viewings with us, to do book readings with us in our book club, to do movie nights with us, all of those things are for subscribers only. So appreciate you all. Thank you, Phantom. Love you, mean it.
You're welcome. I just want to know if all those that are so concerned in the comments, are y'all pregnant? Have y'all ever been pregnant? Because if you have, you would know at 9 weeks. It is not a viable source of anything at 9 weeks pregnant. And I'm a man and I know that. Right?
Yeah. Right. Just saying. Yeah. Nothing at all. So just so y'all understand, the only thing that exists at that time is what they call a cardiac pole, which is where the heart will eventually develop. And the only thing that occurs is electrical currents amongst the tissue in that area. And they call that a heartbeat. It is not a heartbeat because there is no heart. The sound that you hear on the ultrasound is a sound that the computer gives, that electric conduction. Okay? So just so that everyone is clear, that's all it is.
The heart is mostly almost the last thing being developed in a fetus itself. So it's not even getting a heartbeat until you're almost like 20 weeks pregnant.
So that is why viability they don't consider a fetus viable until around that 21, 22 mark. And even then it is still very delicate. I can tell you that my granddaughter was born at 26 weeks with a hole in her heart. She spent 91 days in a neonatal intensive care unit. Her lungs were not fully developed at that time. Her GI system was not fully developed at that time. Like there were issues all the way around. And by the way, things that you have to consider, since y'all want to talk shit and ask me what I do or don't know, let me just tell you. So when a baby is born early like that, and so many things and they have to stay in an incubator, here's what happens. The eyes are not supposed to be exposed to oxygen yet. When they are exposed to oxygen that early, then they develop a cloud, a little film that comes over their eyes. And if they stay on that too long, they will turn out blind. It's called retinopathy. That's what it's called, right? How do I know? Because we got dangerously close. We were worried whether or not Bella was going to have vision or not. She wears glasses, but she's okay. So number one. Number two, she was born with a hole in her heart. Well, guess what else? So she also didn't have a fully built digestive system, right? So guess what? The medication that you need to close the hole in your heart is very, very rough on your digestive system. What we could not afford was her to lose any weight. So there was this long debate about how long could we wait to give medication to close the hole in her heart versus how much can we risk her losing any weight. For those of you all who you literally have no damn idea what you're talking about. You literally don't. It's just amazing to me that you have such, she was 26 weeks, Jai, at 1 pound, 3 ounces. It's crazy to me. You all have such ardent opinions about shit you know nothing about. Like nothing. How much time have you spent talking to a neonatologist? I do. I've spent a lot of time talking to several of them. Matter of fact, I got 2 in my phone. How many of you have spent time talking to pediatricians, neonatology nurses, neonatal nurse practitioners? I got 5 of them in my phone. How many have you all talked to? Ethics does not say save a baby when there's no damn baby. Y'all don't listen. 9 weeks is not a damn baby. Look, I'm going to say it again. 9 weeks. 9 weeks is not a baby. 9 weeks is not a fetus. I'm going to say it really slow. 9 weeks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 weeks is not a baby or a fetus. For those who don't know that, I recommend biology class. No, not an opinion. That's a fucking fact. Not an opinion.
That's why when you have surgery, how long does it take you to recover from surgery, from one single cut on your body? It's about 2 months.
Right.
It's going to take longer than that to develop a whole damn baby.
Right. Just so we're clear. Just so we are so clear. Y'all have no idea. So I'm done arguing with foolishness in the comments. If you want to actually talk to me, come on up here on this panel. Other than that, I'm not talking to you. 40 weeks is full term. 40 weeks. It's not even viable. It cannot live outside of the womb. Heartbeat is not at 8 weeks, Debbie. I just covered that. Some of y'all I think y'all are just intentionally obtuse. All right, appreciate
That's
you,
why
Phantom.
Your heart is the strongest muscle in your body. It's the first muscle to start working in the human body. That's at 20 weeks.
Right.
And it's still developing at that point.
Listen, let me just tell you, when Bella was in the NICU, we had a 22 or 23 weeker, and it lived for 3 weeks. And here's what is so sad about this. This is the part that you all miss. You don't realize that the neurological development, which is how you experience pain. I just want to be clear about something. The neurological development of an embryo and a fetus into a baby doesn't develop until much, much, much later in the pregnancy. We're talking 3rd trimester, okay? So if at 9 weeks, that embryo and those cells unalive, they don't feel anything. There's no pain in that. There's no neurological process. Y'all, TikTok gave me a damn goal for 40 people to send the I'm so hungry thing. And it can't be one person sending 40 of them. It has to be 40 damn different people. So do that for me so we can be done with this. So let me just tell y'all this so that we can get this like 100% like straight. There is no neurological, appreciate you guys. There's not enough neurological development to feel pain. So when they tell you, oh, all of these horrible things are happening and they are just being tortured, that's not true. What is true is that once they are born, they feel pain. Once you put them in a damn incubator, once you put them on all these sorts of machines and all of that, yeah, then they can feel it. Then they feel it. So when you want to talk about who's being good to babies, right? It ain't y'all. And by the way, for those of you all think that you're doing something so great by forcing women to carry babies that would otherwise not be viable, you are actually increasing the infant mortality rate in this country. Since the Dobbs decision, the infant mortality rate in this country has increased. Do you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because when you make a woman carry a baby, we can talk about ethics. Let's do that, Daisy. I got something for you in just a minute with your ethics that aren't really ethics. What your ethics is virtue signaling. And quite frankly, it's sickening. But let me just give you this. So here's what happens, okay? Oh my God, sweet baby Jesus. When you force a woman to carry a fetus that is not viable, and then they are delivered and they unalive within 30 days, that is infant mortality rates. And guess what? They experience pain. And guess what? The children that are at home, the sisters and the brothers, the siblings of that baby have now had to deal with the baby being born to parents that they know is not viable. And now those children are suffering the trauma of having their baby sister or brother unalive, along with the mother, along with the father, along with the grandparents, along with everybody else. And the baby is being made to suffer as a result because it is not viable. Period. It is not not viable. Just so that you all are clear. And then if you're in the state of Tennessee, you all don't understand. Have a miscarriage in the state of Tennessee where they make you still have a burial for the remains. Let's do that in the state of Tennessee, because having a miscarriage is not traumatic enough. They just want to torture women anymore. They just want to make it really, really hard for you. Listen, if you're going to come on here and try to tell me something, please know what you're talking about, because I do. I do. And I will also tell you this. While it is not my job to educate you, I will. And everything that I'm telling you is in my link tree. Everything. You go to my profile, you will see the most extensive link tree you have probably ever seen on TikTok. And it backs up everything I'm saying. Sweet baby Jesus. All right, Phantom. I got you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Take care.
Take care. All right, Savannah, what you got for me?
Okay, so I feel like everybody right now is getting very caught up in semantics and not really taking a moment to center empathy. And so I just kind of want to paint a little picture, because my sister has had 4 children and my mom has also recently had a baby, and I've been there for all of those pregnancies. So pregnancy is supposed to be, historically and culturally throughout the world, a very sacred time for a woman. It is supposed to be, in every single culture in the world, there is a practice of sanctity around pregnancy. And part of that sanctity is revering a woman in that moment and knowing that she is doing something no men cannot do at all. People with that biology cannot do that. And so in order to really respect that, you have to respect their choice in that moment. And to not respect that choice and to say that just because you have something growing in you, the state gets to decide. State gets to decide. So now a family is, imagine your mother, your sister, your friend, your partner. Imagine being in a hospital, hearing her pronounced dead.
Unalived.
And being told, you have to continue to watch her being artificially kept alive without your choice, without anyone's choice, other than a few lawmakers. And you have to watch this. And you have to explain to a child that their mother is dead, but not really. They won't let her rest in peace. Not yet. And then you have to think, okay, once this baby's born, who's taking care of the son she already had? Who's going to take care of this child, this disabled child that is going to require a lot of medical care, a lot of costs? They're also handling the funeral. They're also handling medical bills. And now their situation is publicized and being debated on a national scale. They're having to open their phones every day and see people talk about the woman they loved who died, who they heard.
Unalived. You got to say unalived on TikTok.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Who passed away. And they're having to watch this. They're having to watch people debate it like it's their own political little pin to hold up an argument.
I need for whoever's asking me about the dad in the comments and does he want it, it's not relevant. That is absolutely not relevant to the conversation at all. I need for y'all to understand this. It does not matter.
Whether he wants it or not, it's a responsibility that should have been given to the family to make a choice before getting to this point.
No, there shouldn't have been a choice about anything, because I'll be honest with you. Here's the thing. She was 9 weeks when this happened. There was no choice to be made. When she unalived, so should have that 9-week clump of cells. There's no choice to be made, because the family would not have said, yes, keep her on life support for 6 months so that a baby with fluid on its brain would be born. No, there was no choice. There's no choice. Jesus.
Ignore that last thing I said. Listen to that.
Yeah, there's no damn choice. 9 weeks, done, gone. When she's unalived, so is the 9 weeks, done. She wasn't carrying a fetus. She was carrying an embryo, period. A clump of cells, done. That's what was happening, folks. Done. There's no viability that's an issue. There's no nothing. Nope, Faith, I gotta have you wait because all these, I gotta do people in the order that I brought them up. So I appreciate you, Savannah. So
All right, yes, I believe that is all.
Okay,
I don't know
appreciate
how to
you.
leave. Please get rid of me.
Yeah, no worries. I got you. Shoo wheeze. Okay, so who do I have? America. Go ahead. What you got for me?
Hi. I just wanted to say both the women that spoke before me they pretty much said exactly what I was speaking. And this also isn't backed by facts, so to speak. But I also, I first heard about this story yesterday. And when I first heard about it, I was like, what in the world? This cannot be happening. So I did a little research, right? And I still mind boggled that it is. I'm not trying to go down a conspiracy thing. But I also, part of me is like, why are they doing this to this woman?
Yes, Crystal.
What? There's got to be something else other than just keeping this not viable embryo going. What is it that they want to learn? That's what I'm thinking. Is it?
They don't want to learn anything. The reality is that the hospital and the doctors do not want to be sued by the state of Georgia.
Well, right. No. I get that part, but I'm the lawmaker side of it.
They don't want to learn anything.
Push something.
The lawmakers want to force women to have birth to increase our birthing.
Population.
That's it. It. There's they want to learn anything from this. This is a situation where the lawmakers need for our birth rate to increase. Therefore, they want to force women to give birth. That's it.
It's so disgusting. And I'm a mother of a child. I have 3 children. One of them is a daughter. And I put myself in this position. And I'm thinking about if this would ever happen to my child, and if I had the opportunity to keep her child, even if she was unalive, I don't think I could be selfish enough to keep it going. If it was my position, if I could, and I know that the grandparents do not want this. This is something that the hospital's forcing. I couldn't do it to my baby. I could not do it to my child. I couldn't do it to my own child, so it's sad and it's sickening. And anybody who disagrees with that, they need educated. They really do.
I'm doing my best. If people would listen. If people would listen.
I'm new to your page, and I wholeheartedly support everything that you've said. So you can drop me.
Appreciate you.
Everybody else covered what I was already thinking.
Okay, cool. No worries. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. So let me just clarify a few things that are being said in the comments that are inaccurate. I am literally going to read quotes from her mother right now, not somebody else's commentary, actual quotes from her mother. Her mother spoke directly to these folks, and here's what the mother said. Lise, she was 9 weeks pregnant, went to visit the hospital, which is Northside. I know where that hospital is. You want to know why? Because I've been there. I lived in Midtown. So anyway, because she said the daughter had said there was, quote unquote, enough to know something was wrong. Quote, they gave her some medication, but they didn't do any tests. No CT scan. That is what her mother said. And then she went on to say, quote, if they had done that or kept her overnight, they would have caught it. It could have been prevented, end quote. That's what the mother said. So there was no CT scan for the person who said there was. The CT scan was done after she was rushed to the hospital with the bleeding on the brain. So the CT scan was not done ahead. It was done after. And that is when it revealed multiple blood clots in her brain. She was planning to do the surgery, but it was too late. She was declared brain dead. That's what happened. Now, I think that this is what's important for people to know. When you have blood clots on your brain, they often go undetected. There are a number of reasons that someone may have bad headaches for months, whether it's migraines, whether it's seizures, whether it's whatever. No, Mocha Lovely, I cannot stop shouting. If you do not like my volume level, turn your phone down or just go to another live. I'm extremely passionate about this, and I do not like I don't like misinformation. So you will hear my tone elevate when people have frustrated the shit out of me for 2 solid hours, not listening to facts. The fetus does have fluid on the brain, 100%. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I'm not doing tone policing. I'm not doing any of that shit. No, I can't. I'm going to talk how I want to talk, when I want to talk, with the language that I want to talk, in the volume that I want to talk, period. And if anybody doesn't like that, there's a ton of other lives on TikTok for you to go talk about this very issue. I am not the only person on TikTok talking about this issue. Go somewhere else. Okay? Shit. So, thank you, Raylene. Just saying. Her 5-year-old little boy has to be, he believes his mother is just quote unquote just sleeping. That's what the little boy believes, because he's 5. And what are they going to do? Go to visit her and not do him right? They're going to try, Penna. They're going to try. But this is what it is. So, it's so here's the bottom line is this. I did want to give you this. I did want to give you all this. So for those, I made something and somebody said, where is this? I would like to look it up. You can go to the American Journal of Medical Colleges, AJMC. If you go to amjc.com, and you can look for an article from October 25th of 2024, or you can go to JAMA, right, which is the Journal of American Medical Associations. You can go there, okay? And they have an article from February 13th of 2025. And both of those two things are specifically about the impact of AB bans and infant mortality. And what I said to you a little bit ago is that in states where there have been AB bans, we have seen infant mortality rates increase. The reason why is because when you are made to carry a non-viable fetus, a fetus that you know is not going to live longer than maybe a few hours, if that, maybe a week or two, whenever that happens, when a fetus is born, within 30 days, if they unalive, that is what's counted as a infant mortality rate. It's the same thing for cardiac. It's the same thing for stroke. It's the same thing for pneumonia, for COPD, all the things. If you are admitted into the hospital and you get out and you unalive within 30 days, that is the mortality rate for that condition. So when you force women to give birth to fetuses that are not viable, right? They are not healthy, then the infant mortality rate has increased. And so here's what we know is since the Dobbs decision, we have seen the infant mortality rate increase in the states with AB bans by 6 to 7%. That's a fact. So when you tell me that you are somehow protecting babies, what I will tell you is that you are damaging them and their families. Because once they are born, then they feel pain. Once they are born, then they feel absolutely everything. You hear me? Whereas if it was handled within the womb, they would not. Just telling you. So you are actually making babies, their family members, their mothers, you're making all of them suffer, all of them, and then they unalive. You are not protecting babies. You are literally the worst thing in the world, not only for babies, but for families and definitely for women. Definitely for women. You are the worst thing in the world. And you have no clue what you're talking about. Literally, no clue. Because if you did, there's no way. And if you want to talk to me about morality, let's do that. Because I will tell you right now, morals does not say make babies suffer. Morals does not say damage families. Do you understand that most of the time, these major birth defects, these things that are happening to fetuses cannot even be detected until around 20 to 22 weeks. When a woman gets to 20, 22 weeks, she doesn't all of a sudden go, you know what? I don't think I want to do this. Let's just go ahead and get rid of it. That's not what happens. What happens is they go to the doctor. They go to a specialist because by this time they've been sent to a high-risk physician. They go to a specialized ultrasound that costs a hell of a lot of money, along with these different blood tests. And then they find out that maybe the baby's brain is developing outside of the skull. Maybe they're missing certain cardiac activity that they need. Maybe they're missing whatever, right? And they're not viable. And so then these physicians that have been with these women this whole time have to explain this incredibly heartbreaking thing that your baby is no longer going to come home and go in that crib with you. It's not a possibility. If you carry to term, they might last an hour, a week, 2 weeks, but they're never coming home. They're never going to kindergarten. They're never graduating from high school. They are not going to prom. They are not going to college. You are not walking them down the aisle. They have to have that conversation. Have you ever talked to a specialist, to an OB high-risk physician ever? I have. His name is Dr. Visconti. He delivered both my granddaughters. Do you have any idea what it takes to have that conversation? And now there are women with dead fetuses in their baby being made to carry them to term. That means they have siblings and people that are seeing their bellies grow, expecting a little brother or sister to come out, and it ain't happening. They're never coming home. And then parents have to ask the question, they have to answer the question, where's my little brother or little sister? But y'all don't think about that. Your morals are just too important. Your virtue signaling is too important. Get the fuck out of here. Who do you think you are? And that's before we get into the practicality of it. That's before we talk about medical bills and insurance claims and all the stuff and burials and all of that. That's before every bit of that. It's the most asinine thing I have ever heard. It's very simple, y'all. Without the heartbeat bill in the state of Georgia, when this woman unalived and this family lost this beautiful, intelligent Black woman, the 9-week clump of cells would have unalived with her. and they would be mourning her loss and none of the other parts. They would not be suffering and being tortured every day, watching her breathe, knowing she's not breathing, watching her belly grow, knowing that the fetus has fluid on its brain, watching it, knowing that baby's not healthy, not okay, not gonna be okay. I don't want to hear about your morals. I don't. You let your morals apply to you and your choices. You do not define everyone else's choices by your morals, because I personally think your morals fucking suck. Call me crazy. I don't believe that we torture babies and families. So, sorry for the rant. Bye always. What you got for me?
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to come up to your platform.
Sure.
You answered a lot of the questions that I had. I had one large one, which was, how long are they gonna? So they're gonna keep this woman on life support until 32 weeks. Is that correct?
It is projected to be 32 weeks.
And there is, to your knowledge, do you know if there's any legal representation for her family to challenge this, or even to have the child, I guess, removed and put into the NICU prior to the 32 weeks?
I think so. Here's the thing. They won't do that because they have a human incubator. You know what I'm saying? So what the argument is going to be that the best incubator would be the natural one. So there's no argument from a medical perspective that I can think of that they would be able to say, right, and Stacey, it would be more expensive. NICUs are the reason why hospitals when they start cutting things, they immediately go for birthing centers and all of those things, right? Because they don't make money off of them. They are the most expensive thing in a hospital, right? So that's why. And so I don't know, I'm not aware, and I haven't read anything that says they have legal representation, but I don't know what the legal argument would be, because the state law is the state law. And what I know for sure, like just by reading the hospital statement, is that the hospital's attorneys are who made this decision, and informed the hospital what the legal thing for them to do is.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure when it comes to law, there's always a loophole somewhere. You just have to find a creative attorney. Just like we found with the Geico case up in Michigan, or was it Ohio, where the attorney went after the insurance company when their client contracted an STI in the car. Mm-hmm. So you just have to find someone who's savvy enough and who wants to take on the expenses, because litigation is expensive. And this also reminds me, even though I know it's a little different, I don't know if you remember the Terry Schiavo case in Florida, where she was in a vegetative state for 15 years. And before the family, but granted, it was the family
that wanted her there. Yeah.
Before the family was able to remove her life support. So it's a very sad situation. And then I wanted to just address, was a couple of comments, I think that people made about having an estate, and because they were talking about the cost. So, but because she's an adult, this young lady was an adult, everyone has an estate. You might not have anything to your name.
Right, that's my point.
When you go to open one, you do open the estate. And so the creditors are going to have to just try to attach to whatever assets she had, if any, which are probably going to be gone at this point. But it's sad because if she did have something, then her family members are going to have to fight for that. because when you open the estate for anyone, and if you're doing it the right way, well, I shouldn't say the right way. If you're doing it the way that the state outlines you're supposed to open the estate for probate, et cetera. If you're doing it that way and not just dividing up stuff between you and your family members, and then letting everything else go. But if you're doing it the way that the state outlines for you to do, then the creditors have 30 days to come and file for anything that she may have owed during her lifetime. And so that's going to be very sad for her family and also for her child, because they're the ones at a loss at that point, and they will liquidate whatever they can if she had anything to pay off any creditor. And so that's all I wanted to say.
And the other piece of that is a lot of people don't know, because when you go to the hospital now, and they give you that, like, you have to sign their little black box to give the electronic signature for your, and they say, oh, it's your consent to treat. She's waving at people. Uncle Doug is over here and he said hi. What a lot of people don't realize, I recommend, if you've never done this, ask for the paper copy, because I do. And I ask for them to print out their consent to treat, and I go through that document and I mark out what I'm not agreeing to, and I put initials, because, for example, many hospitals include in their consent to treat the financial responsibility information. And so, like many hospitals, it will say that if you are going to receive if you're going to receive an insurance payment, let's say they were going to sue somebody. If you're in a car wreck, if you're in a car wreck and you get taken to the hospital and they say, sign this for the consent to treat, do you know what it says in many of their agreements? It says that if you receive a payout from the insurance company, the hospital gets their cut first. And then you get whatever is left over. Yep, they get their cut first. And so, but some of the other things that it says, so I'll give you an example. At our hospitals back home, it says that you allow them to keep your tissues and your this and your that for whatever, and they own it after that. Of course, they do that because of Henrietta Lacks. And so if you don't want that, if you want them to destroy it, you have to make those notes. And then make them scan it into your chart. They also say, like, sometimes it says that they can take pictures of you in the hospital for education and for this and for that. And I'm like, no, I do not give you consent to own my image ever. So, like, it's just really important for people to know what is in those things that you sign. It is not just a consent to treat. Ask for a paper copy and have some fun reading.
Right. And one thing I would suggest to your listeners is that you get a health directive, you get a financial directive, and you do, just like you do spring cleaning. If you spring clean, you want to review those once a year. And the reason why I say that is because you don't know who you're going to be at odds with the next year. And you may not want that person to be over your finances. Should you have to go into the hospital or have an emergency for an extended period of time. You also don't want certain people to make health decisions for you, because such as, like with myself, I don't have my mother as my first individual or go-to for my health directive. I have a really good friend, and I have my mother as the second, that they have to actually confer with her. And the reason why I did it that way is because I know with my mother, she would be too emotional, and I would not want to put her in that situation.
Right.
However, she's on my financial directive, because the woman is good with money. And so she's more of, I've seen her in action when there have been emergencies that have arisen in our family with her siblings, such as having cancer, etc. And she's more of a thinker and a doer. Give her something, she will take charge. She will get the bills paid. And that's also, I think, by way of her background. She was, a private investigator, and she also was in the military, and she's, highly degreed. So she's very analytical, and that keeps her focused.
Right.
And she just, hammers away on it. When it comes to the health side, she gets emotional. And not that she can't make the decision, but she's going to, in her analytical mind, she's going to think of every avenue out there. And she's going to go down those rabbit holes. So I'd rather have someone else there to say, hey, we're going to make this decision, but they're going to have to confer with her, because that's how I have it written up. I did go to an attorney years ago to have these drawn up. It typically costs you around $200. If you have one that's charging you more than that, yeah, you might want to find someone else.
Right.
But I know a lot of people say, oh, just go online and get the Zoom legal work paper. No. Go to someone who can actually explain it to you. And the reason why I suggest that is because that's going to be a hard conversation you're going to have with someone. When that attorney at that time, and I was, in my early 30s, when he said, who do you want to make the decision as to whether or not you remain in a vegetative state or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him and I said, huh? And he said, yeah, take the paperwork home, think about it.
Yep.
And then let's schedule an appointment and you come back before we actually sign these documents.
Yep.
And, so you'll have the right person, because I don't know who's going to keep me like that.
Right.
And so that's something, and those are hard conversations. And then
I had to have them with my mom. She's 80.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have with mine, I want two medical opinions before you make a determination that, hey, this is going to be it.
Right.
So those are some of the things that you have to talk out. And the one thing people don't want to do is talk about the end time. But know this, if there's nothing else in life certain, one thing we're all guaranteed to do is to
and alive. Yes.
We're all guaranteed to have that. Now, when it's going to happen, that's up to, the heavens and the earth and everything else, whatever you believe in. However, but that is a guaranteed. And I think that is a conversation that everyone needs to have. Sit down and have that now.
Yeah.
And make it such a normal part of your dialogue.
Yep.
That it doesn't make you cringe.
Yes.
Because it's not all about just finances.
Yeah.
It's about sometimes you gotta think about what happens before the end. Sometimes you might be in a vegetative state. Sometimes you just may not. You're alive and you can think, but you can't do what you normally want to do, and you're in the hospital for an extended period of time. And I'm gonna tell you now, hospitals don't want you in there a long time. They will kick you out and put you in a what's it called? One of those facilities.
Rehabilitation facility, hospice facility, just depends. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gonna push you out because that bed makes them money.
It does. And it's not like the old days where they build for every little thing. They have group billing codes now, folks. So whatever your diagnosis is, there is a cap on how much they can bill under that thing. So yeah, and my mom and I had to have a discussion because she thought not having a DNR meant not wanting to be kept alive on machines, and I said no, those are two different things. You can say I want to be resuscitated, right? However, if after I'm resuscitated, there are other things not functioning, you can set a time period. I don't want to be, if you resuscitate me and it's determined like I'm going to be gone again and you don't want to be kept alive on machine, you can be as specific as you want to be about what your care looks like. And those are conversations you gotta, and by the way, y'all, from the moment you are born, you begin to die.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear. From the moment you are born, the only way is the end. Sometimes it's longer, the journey is longer than others, but that's the journey.
Right. And then the last thing before I close off my mic, I want to
Natalie, that's not part of it.
Really encourage people to, a lot of people say, oh, I'll just get a will. Well, let me tell you this. There's something I learned in law school. A will is a suggestion. Okay? It's a suggestion. It doesn't mean that the court is going to follow it. So if you have the funds to get a trust, go the trust route. If you can't get a will, but you make it so clear and so locked in that the people you leave behind can't fight over it, i.e., meaning that you have your attorney videotape you.
Yes.
You have your attorney record you. Many states do not accept a holographic will. What that means is that it's in writing, your handwriting. They will not accept that. So you make sure you have your witnesses. You make sure your witnesses that sign have not been paid by you, because then it will make it null and void. You
Yep.
make sure your witnesses, if they are beneficiaries of it, that they're not your witnesses. You get somebody else, because then that could avoid it.
And let me tell y'all this: I am not an attorney, and I am not giving legal advice.
No, and I'm not giving legal advice. So
I just wanted to say that.
So I just want, people to understand. And then those wills, depending on what your assets are, that could range anywhere from $500 up to $600-700. It depends. And here's the other thing: attorneys, they do take payment plans, y'all. They will work with you.
Yes, they will.
Many people hear the word attorney and they think, oh, that's a lot of money, I can't do it, and da-da-da-da. All you have to do is ask them, do you take a payment plan?
A lot of them do.
They will take a payment plan.
They will.
You can pay them off. Now, I suggest you do pay them off, because then they'll turn around and sue you.
100%.
Money.
100%. Yeah, for educational purposes only, people. But
right.
yeah.
So there is a way that you can get all of this done. The way I see it is that if you have time to go out and buy shoes and this and that and the third, and go on trips, or and if you have extra funds to do that, have the extra funds to sit down and plan for your life, because the last thing you want is to leave somebody else with your financial mess. Yeah,
and they're grieving you during
Some
that.
People don't care, but still, it's not fair.
Right.
If they didn't think you had a heart while you were living, at least have a heart while you're gone.
Exactly.
And say, you know what? They weren't a good person, but by George, they handled business, so I like them now. And that's all I have to say. And thank you so much for allowing me up. And,
appreciate you.
Yeah, it was a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah, Teresa said, I'm not an attorney. However, if you handwrite a will, I suggest you get it notarized. Okay, so let me just say again, no legal advice being given here. This is all for educational purposes only. And to answer a question on Facebook, no, they're not keeping this mother on life support in order for organ donation. That is not why. The only reason that they are keeping her on life support is because of Georgia's state law regarding AB. Their 6-week AB law is the reason. So that's it. What's up, Jamie? So just to be clear. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to, there's a whole lot of y'all that are requesting. So, and I'm just going to tell y'all, we got a maximum of 1 hour left together, a max, because I have 3 o'clock. I have a 3 o'clock that I have to be on there. So just to cover, so for those of y'all, just to kind of level set for a second, there are 2 women on the screen that we are discussing. The woman on the left is Adriana Smith. She unalived February of this year. She was only 9 weeks at the time that she passed. And the hospital told her family that she had to be kept on life support because Georgia has a law that you cannot you can't get rid of a pregnancy after 6 weeks. So she has now been kept on life support for 3 months. And she is expected to be kept on life support for an additional 11 weeks. So that is the Adriana Smith story. That is the lady that is in blue. Appreciate you, Sandy. The lady on what is my left, maybe you're right. That is Valeria Marquez. She is a beauty pageant winner, best face in Mexico. She is also a social media influencer with a few 100,000 people following her on Instagram, about 100,000 or so on TikTok. She was unalived this Tuesday while live streaming on TikTok by a man whose face could not be seen, who was supposed to be a courier dropping off a quote unquote gift. She was unalived by a pew-pew. She was hit twice in the chest and stomach, and then someone grabbed the phone and immediately turned it off. Her unaliving is being investigated as femicide. Because they believe that her unaliving is a result of the fact that she is a woman. So that is why the name of this live is The War on Women and Its Consequences. Girl Pop, I'm not sure. The article that I read said, well, maybe. What I know is that she grabbed her chest and her stomach, and then she went off the screen. So anyway, it is being investigated as a femicide. And so one of the things that we're talking about are the consequences of the way that we are looking at women and the impact that things are having on them. In addition to infant mortality rates, give me a second. Oh, another thing for you guys to know. Give me a second. So in January of last year, you all may remember a report that came out, an article that came out from NPR, January of 2024. And they were looking at what has happened when it comes to grape. And I have to say that for TikTok, y'all. So let me just give you this. So they are saying that there's a figure of 65,000 grape-caused pregnancies that occurred in the States with AB bans while those bans were in effect. So listen to what I'm saying, okay? This was January of last year. And in states with AB bans, there were 65,000 pregnancies that were caused by grape. So they used the data to get all of that calculated. The article, like I said, is on NPR. All you have to do is Google grape rates since the Dobbs decision, and you will see that. The total is 64,565. That's the number. Okay. So in addition to infant mortality rates, in addition to, all of this, these are the consequences of AB bans and laws that infringe upon the rights of women. You are silently giving people permission to treat women as less than full beings with bodily autonomy and full human rights. That's what's happening as a result. Sugar Plum, I'm going to go ahead and pull some more people up on the panel. Do me a favor, put yourself on mute until I can get to you. Sugar Plum, what you got for me?
Hi. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the people that were saying, like, oh, why didn't the doctors find out that she had her blood clot, right? Back in 2009, 2009, 2010, I had blood clots, pulmonary embolism myself. And I went in the first time to the hospital with a headache, and same way she did. I was also just given medication for my headaches. That was it, and let go. Later on, I was walking myself to college, and as soon as I got to my class, I collapsed because I couldn't breathe anymore. Obviously, I was taken to the hospital, and that's where they took images. They ran all these tests, and they found out that I had the blood clots in my lungs, and they were actually ready to go inside my brain. So they're like, you're really lucky to be alive right now, and that you're here.
Yep.
And so
Rebel, that's not. Hold on a second.
People that were saying,
Sugar Plum,
sorry.
1 second. Hold on. Rebel, that's not accurate. They had actually scheduled the surgery, but she unalived before they could do the surgery. Her mom did not say that. Let me tell you exactly the deal. That's not what happened. She was scheduled to do surgery. Hold on, I'm going to get to the part. So here it is. Her mother gave an article to People Magazine, an interview, and to 11 Alive. And here, I'm going to read it verbatim. The following morning, Newkirk, that's her mother, said Smith's boyfriend found her gasping for air in her sleep, making gurgling noises, which they believe was due to blood. Smith was rushed to the hospital. A CT scan later revealed multiple blood clots in her brain. Doctors were planning to go into surgery, but it was too late. they declared her brain unalived. So it's not that they decided not to, it's that it was too late to do that. It had developed too far to do that. So sorry, I just wanted to address what was in the comments. Go ahead, Sugar Plum.
Yeah, so I wanted to let people know that sometimes it's not that the doctors don't want to put you through the invasive of like put you through a CT scan or something like that. It's sometimes that we don't give enough information for them to make a right diagnostic as well. I just came in the first time and saying, like I had really bad headaches and I think I had leg cramps back then. And that's how they told me, like back then, if you would have told us you had the leg cramps,
Yes.
we would have known that, that's how it all started. But yeah, and I don't know if you watch the Handmaid's Tale.
No, I don't. I'm aware of it. I watched the first little bit of it. I just don't want to digest it. It was, a lot of people don't realize the show is based off a book. The book was written based on things that have already happened to women in our lifetime. So, yeah.
And after this, I'll get off and let you go. But in season, I believe it's 2 or 3, it's the same thing that's happening right now with this girl. One of the handmaids is actually pregnant and she's brain dead as well. And they keep her alive just so that they can keep the child. So they keep her as an incubator, pretty much. It's the same thing that this case is going through, but in the show as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the book was written based on things that have already happened in history to women. And so when people are watching the show and they're saying, "Oh, this is Handmaid's Tale," it's as if it's a future dystopian. It's written and based on things that what the women have already lived through. And the point behind that and acknowledging that is to say that if we are not diligent, if we do not ensure that we elect the right people in Congress, we will repeat history. So, so just saying.
It's sad, unfortunately. And I feel sorry, I really do feel sorry for their family. It should have been, a natural unalivement for both the mother and the child, sadly.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate you. Hold on a second. Good Lord.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Appreciate you. I'm multitasking as
Have
usual.
a good one.
Thanks, you too. All right. So, yeah, so the woman, Margaret Atwood, she said that she drew on various historical periods and events, including the Iranian Revolution, New England Puritanism, and even things like Jerry Falwell and the moral majority and all of that. So, like, you can read about it so that you know. But anyway, okay, so I just want to check on a couple of different things. People that I have that have requested up that I need to make sure that you intended to request up, because I'm going to be running short on time pretty quick, is Sandy. You are in here to have requested up, what is not usually you. I'm thinking maybe you tapped your way into the panel. I also have Outsider, I have Jen Yaya, I have Ash Just Human, and I have Candy. So if any of those individuals did not mean to request up, Ash, you were on purpose this time. Cool. If you did not mean to, please let me know so that I can take you out of the request box. So, just need to make sure. Candy, it was a mistake. Sandy was tapping too. Whoops for Jen Yaya. See, this is why I clarify. Okay, so let me get those folks out. I can get Candy out. I can get Sandy out. Yaya's already out. I got Ash. Go ahead and put yourself on mute, Ash. And then let me see who else. I've got one other person, Outsider. Did you mean to request? I don't know. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. So I've got and then I've got T as well. So those are the 3. So here's what I'm going to do. Nobody else. The next 3 people to come on the panel are going to be Outsider, Terry Bora, and Teacups. Okay, that's it, because we got a limited amount of time, and I want to make sure I get the people in queue on the panel. So when I bring you up, put yourself on mute until I can get to you, please, and pretty please. Yeah, Stacey, we do seem to have cleared the trolls. Thank goodness. Okay, all right, Faith Oz, what you got?
First off, I want to tell you thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Thank you for having this discussion. Like, this is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, women's rights and medical information and legal, not counsel, having those discussions is really important.
100%.
But I'm a person who likes solutions. And I wanted to say something about Adriana.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, or have you heard, has anyone heard any discussion about, does the family have the right to move the medical facility that she is in?
I don't think that
she's for us.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that, because so the reason why I don't think that is the case is because typically when you say that you have patients' rights to request to be transferred, that it's usually because of treatment, right? Can you get something at a different hospital that you are not getting at that one? And because she is legally brain unalived already, I don't think that that's something that they have a medical reason to do that. So because she's not, nobody's going to give her treatment that's any different. And so, yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think so.
Okay, because I was going to say, helping the family, I mean, their medical bills are going to be astronomical. It is completely heartbreaking what is happening to this woman and what is happening to her family.
Right. I don't think that
we were talking about earlier loopholes, like lawyers being able to find loopholes. I wonder if there is a way that they could move her to a different facility out of state for care, for long-term care. That would be more beneficial.
But here's the thing. So like, hold on a second. Let me just see.
Like they were talking about Terry Schiavo in Florida. Her family chose to continue her care for, I think, 15, 16 years. I remember that case. And they had her in a long-term facility, not in a medical hospital. So that was kind of the route I was going.
Yeah, I think that, so number one, I think that you would have to have a hospital that would be willing to take her. I think that when you think about the transporting of a person on life support with a fetus that is now 20, 22. So like when you transport someone who's pregnant, a lot goes into it. And so you have to think about all of those things being medically, I guess, Amy, I think what she's saying is to be able to take her off life support.
Yeah, I'm not arguing for long-term care. I'm not arguing for
but I think the problem now is that in many places, now that she is at 20 or 21 weeks, people now the challenge is she's viable. Right? Okay, so before we had the Dobbs decision, 43 states in this country had laws regarding AB and at what point you could no longer get, she was only 9 weeks. That's the only reason she's on life support is because she was 9 weeks at the time that she unalived. So here's the thing. Most states, like I said, 43 of them, had laws around what time period you could no longer get an AB. The majority of them were at 20 to 22 weeks. That was it. No, Liv, she had blood clots on her brain. She was 9 weeks. This was in February when she unalived, folks. She was only 9 weeks pregnant. Only 9 weeks. So the point is that at this point now, we are looking at 20, 21 weeks, right? When they say that was 3 months ago and she's 3 months pregnant now or whatever. I don't, we are now at the place where in the majority of states, it's going to be considered viable.
So
I don't know that there's anywhere now that would pull the plug.
I find it fascinating because it's that thing where she's not just being used as an incubator, she's being held hostage.
Well, she can't be held hostage because she's not alive.
Her family isn't being given the option.
But she's not being held hostage because she's not alive, right? But the family is being given no choice. But this is my point. Okay, so here's what I will say to you guys. Most states will tell you, so let me just show you. All right, so the point is whether you believe at 20 weeks it's viable or not. And viability is not gestation. Let me just say this, first of all, okay? Viability is not only gestation. This was well vetted out in Roe v. Wade and in that decision. Brandy, we have a black woman and a white woman up. She's not colored. She's black. That would be number one. And we have both of these women up because both of them are unalived. Both of them are victims to the war on women. That's why we have them up. Not because it's a race issue. The only person talking about race is you, Brandy. So you might want to ask yourself why when you saw a black woman and a white woman, and by the way, she's not white, she's Hispanic, but you might want to ask yourself why you thought this was a race issue. It seems like you are predispositioned to look at things from a race perspective. You didn't even consider the fact that they were both women. Damn. Wonder what that says about you, Brandy. Huh? Ain't that something? Look at here, look at here. Shit. Good God. Right, she was Mexican. So anyway, let me just go ahead and handle that. Just served you right up on a platter. This is what happens when you bring yourself in a room. It is good practice to shut up and listen for a few minutes so that when you comment, you know what the fuck you talking about and you don't look crazy or racist. Just a suggestion. Sorry, what was I saying? So this is my thing. It is not just about gestation. Gestation does not equal viability, folks. This is one of the things that, let me ask you this. Has anyone ever read the actual Roe v. Wade decision? Because I have. Thank you. You're friendly. Because I've read it. Thanks, Tracy. So let me tell you what's amazing when you read it. They did not just talk about gestation, because gestation alone doesn't equal viability. I can have a fetus that is 30 weeks and the baby not be viable. You got that? Because at 30 weeks, they may have a brain growing outside the skull. They may be missing vital parts of their heart. There's so many reasons. There's so many things that may not medically be there, biologically be there, that means there's no viability regardless of gestation. So when Roe v. Wade was considering their decision, they included not just gestation, but viability, plus all these other things. And so I think that people need to understand, when you say 20 weeks is not viable, but 24 weeks is, that's not necessarily accurate. Most hospitals will say 20 to 22 weeks is when they say, girl, no, I'm not going to leave you alone. You calm yourself down. I'm not going to leave you alone. You are in my life. You just walked in my house, tried to tell me what I was talking about, tried to say that I was making something about race, and now you asking me to leave you alone. You're not no victim up in here. Nobody asked you to come up in here. And nobody asked your opinion. You gave your opinion in my house, and now you want to act like somebody's doing something to you. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We're not doing that here today. We're not. Nope, not at all. And you're not going to tone police me. That's not going to happen either. Bless it. Not going to happen. Good Lord. That's that privilege, Brandy. This is what happens. You don't get to run up in somebody's house, insult them, and then cry and ask them not to call you out. No, ma'am. That ain't the way it works. I don't know where you came from. Good Lord. Sheesh. Sorry, Faith. We done holy jeez. It's just the caucasity of people that just makes me go, what in the world? What? No. Like, who does that?
Too many people.
I just was like, yes, Kat, the caucasity. What in the world? No, we not. Okay. Not Mila going buck in the background. I cannot. So not so loud, sissy. Okay, so it's many things that determine viability. But what I will tell you is that if you are in a hospital and you are 20, 21 weeks and all of that, they consider that to be like right on the cusp of viability. And they're going to go from that position, period. So my thing is that even if they could find somewhere, so number one, even if they could find somebody to take her, you worry about the legal loopholes. And let me just say this. I don't think there's too many hospitals whose lawyers would allow them to take her. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know that there's anywhere that she could go now at this stage of the game where they would take her off life support.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I did not know she was that far along. I thought she was at like 15, 16 weeks.
No, she was 9 weeks.
I thought that maybe there was still a possibility for time for the family to take care of this.
Mm-mm. She's been on life support for 90 days now. And it actually says more than 90 days. And she was 9 weeks at the time.
How is this just now hitting?
I don't think that it's just now hitting. I think that it just made the mainstream like blow up, whatever. Okay. And because it's an issue. So here's my thing, right? First of all, you want me to tell you one of the reasons I think it's just not hitting? A, she's Black. If this was a white woman, listen, if this was a rich white woman, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I really do not believe so. If she was a rich white woman, this would not be the situation. Because they would have had enough money to do whatever needed to be done.
That's heartbreaking.
Right. Well, and so the reason why is because when you look at racial disparities in healthcare, it's a real thing that exists. We know that Black women have a maternal mortality rate that is 2.5 times that of white women. Right?
It's the first thing that I thought of whenever they said they didn't give her the CT. It's the first thing.
Yeah, I mean, so, and my thing is, I don't know about that because here's the thing. I don't know what she did or didn't tell them at the time, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much information they had. What I do know is that Black women in this country and Black people in general often do not get the care in the medical system that white people do. And there are medical journals to support that. I mean, those are just facts, right? So you can't, matter of fact, if you saw, there was I want to say it was in 2016, maybe 20 something, they did an interview of medical students in medical school where 50% of them still believe that Black people have thicker skin than white people, that their nerve endings don't experience pain the same. They experience less pain than white people. Like this was a real study of medical students. Hold on, and the link is in my link tree, but let me just show you. Hold on a second. Medical students. It's crazy, but it's real. Believe Black people have thicker skin. I'll tell you exactly when it happened. Here it is. Here we go. So this is in the AAMC. If you don't know what the AAMC is, that is the Association of American Medical Colleges. So this is not a YouTube video that I'm talking about. This is real facts, people. Brandy, this would be a real fact. If you want to argue these racial facts, then please bring your ass up on the panel. We can do that. So here it is. So listen to this. Half of white medical trainees, and this is from 2020, believe such myths as Black people have thicker skin or less sensitive nerve endings than white people. And so they had an expert look at how false notions and hidden biases fuel inadequate treatment of minorities' pain. Now, my subscribers and I have a book club going on right now where we are actually reading a book, go figure, that was recommended to me by one of the leading neonatal specialists in the state of Tennessee at Vanderbilt University. And so that book is called Blind Spot, The Hidden Biases of Good People. They were reading this book together as physicians to talk about this very thing. Brandy?
Is that a memoir?
No, so this was actually done by 2 Harvard professors. I highly, highly recommend this book. And so you can see my little pink things. So my subscribers, we actually are reading this together. And so then we meet. We're gonna have another session in another week or so. And so we'll get together, hop on Zoom, and talk about the next 2 or 3 chapters that we've read, and all of that. You have that book thanks to my recommendation. I love that, Shelley. So here's the thing. 40% of first and second year medical students endorse the belief that Black people's skin is thicker than white people. How about that? And there's a whole other bit of this. There's meta-analysis of 20 years of study that finds that Black/African-American patients were 22% less likely than white patients to receive any pain medication. So when we talk about, is there a possibility she didn't get a scan because she's Black? Sure, right? Because we know that to be a fact. Is it pretty much, in my mind, as a Black woman? Well, here's what I will tell you. Do I believe the only reason we are having this damn conversation and that it took this long is because she's Black? Hell yeah, that's what I think. Hell yeah, because if she was a white woman, especially a rich one, we wouldn't be here. She wouldn't have been on no life support. They would have paid whoever, whatever, however, and done. Right. And that's it. And if it were a white woman that this was happening to, and she was just even like suburban white, you didn't even got to be rich white, but just suburban white, this would have been on the news before the end of February.
Absolutely.
So that's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the girl in Georgia, Lisa. So, and that's my thing now, is I think that now, because she is so far along at 21 weeks or so, there's no alternative now. There's no solution to this other than, and somebody asked in the comments earlier, and I meant to tell you all this. Somebody said, why are they waiting until 32 weeks? It is because at 32 weeks, viability is 95%, and the majority of all of the things, heart, lungs, and all the things, are really, really well developed. And that's like the earliest / best time that they would deliver and let the family take her off of support. No, it's not an experiment, boo. There's no experimentation happening here. No, what it is, this is not an experiment. This is not a fucking experiment. Yeah, then nobody's over there testing shit. We have known for a very long time that if you keep a woman alive on machines as a human incubator, the fetus will continue to grow and be born. That we know. There's nothing new under the sun about this. What is happening here is they are legally keeping her alive to allow a fetus to grow that would not have ever been, that wasn't a fetus at the time. That was just a 9-week-old clump of cells and tissue. Period. So
I heard that, excuse me, I heard that comment earlier that they were the experiment thing. I think what they mean is using women legally as incubators. I think that's.
But there's nothing, everybody's talked about this. No family signed off on it. Let me tell you who signed off on this. All of you all that voted for Republicans in the Georgia legislature, you signed off on this shit. You signed off on this shit. Every single one of y'all that put Brian Kemp back in office and all of them damn Republicans in the Georgia legislature, you signed off on this shit. Her family didn't. She didn't. The Georgia damn legislature did. And all of you all that voted them damn Republicans in office, you did it. You did it. Just being clear. So, sorry, Faith.
No, you're good. I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye.
Okay, appreciate you.
I'm gonna tell you thank you so very much, and tell people to talk to your partners and talk to your family about what you want for your end of life. It's really important.
100%.
And vote. Go register to vote.
Please do. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
It does.
It does.
Thank
Appreciate you, Faith.
Bye.
All right. So what I got? Donna Lotterman. Donna Lotterman. What you got for me? Mila, will you unlock the door for Dominic and Bella? Ooh. See, loud as hell. I think Donna Lotterman's not here. So Hazel NY, what you got for me? Hazel, Bobezo, Banana, Fana, Fofizzle. You got something for me, Hazel? What, baby? Titan's watching the bird.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, don't guess so. Y'all laughing at me. So this is Hazy.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. What you got for me?
So a couple things. So first of all, I know Phantom was talking earlier about heart development and things of that sort. So my husband actually has a bicuspid aortic valve, and so I was being monitored when I was pregnant with my daughter. And I can tell you right now, they would not even do a fetal EKG until 26 to 28 weeks, because it would have shown up with a false positive result for issues with the heart. And I can tell you, like, the flaps in the heart were still not completely developed. And then I had to go back for another one at 32 weeks to make sure there was no stress on the baby's heart and that it was still developing. So just to throw that out there, and that was done through a pediatric cardiologist who specialized in fetal EKGs. And so, yeah, that's first.
Yep.
Second, people need to remember, not only with the maternal mortality rate, especially being higher in Black women, that because of these bans, doctors are leaving states. So you're not getting proper health care if you're living out further from major cities or even small cities. You're not able to get care. You're not able to get doctors who really give up two flying hoots for you. So that's the other thing. The one thing that really, really weighs on me is her treatment. So at this point in time, and I don't know if her family would have any recourse or not, she is technically a corpse being used as an incubator. When I think about what I had to go through when I was pregnant, you had to go have pelvic exams, you had to go through ultrasounds, you had to go through all the testing that is involved with that. I can't imagine her being in this state and having to go through those treatments and the family know about it. This is normal, like, prenatal care. And she has to probably go through that, and her body is being exposed to these doctors. To me, that's desecration of the corpse. So I have a really hard time with that fact. Not to mention at this point in time, like I know the doctor's hands are tied because of the law, but how are they treating her under the Hippocratic Oath? Like I think we're encountering that in many states, which is why doctors are leaving states, whether it's because of AB bans or trans treatment, or like pick your poison at this point in time. That's very concerning to me. And I've taken a list of notes as we've been going through since I was sitting here, and I wrote down husband for some reason. And I can't remember what the conversation was about, but
probably when I said he has no say.
Yeah, and that's part of it. So that's exactly what it was. Actually, now that you say that, so I want people to think about. I lived just outside of New Orleans for 5 years. I actually went to go get my hair cut, and I was asked as a YT woman if it was okay for my husband to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
All things.
Yeah.
My haircut. And I was like, when he starts taking care of my hair, then he can tell me how to get my hair cut. But I have to say I have a very good husband in that, like, he always said, you know, I'm here for you. We'll do what we need to do. But at the same time, like, it's up to you. It's your body. And we always used to say, like, you're not an incubator. But, like, having someone tell me what to do as a man, that shit don't fly in my house. Like,
well,
and
I think first of all, people need to remember she's not married. She has a boyfriend,
yeah,
which is why her mom is the one doing the majority of the interviews and so forth and so on, and having the say, because she doesn't have a husband.
And I heard people in the comments saying, oh, well, the boyfriend should be the dad and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, in this day and age, with the way the economy is, even several years ago with the way the economy is, and you look at how insurance is, and now the possible cuts to Medicaid, and, well, I mean, it's not even really possible. It's in the budget bill, if it gets passed. So you think about all those things today. If that person decides to take on this baby, if the baby ends up living, the amount that they're going to have to put in, like, there are parents who are not cut out to be able to care for a child with extreme needs.
Right. Because the baby has fluid on the brain.
Exactly.
100%.
And when you think about that, like, I've seen kids that have survived, that will never be verbal. They will never move out of a wheelchair. They will never eat on their own. But the parents were able and capable to take care of that situation. But we don't know that that's the case. And when you think about the southern states, being red states, they're the ones that are getting most support from Medicaid. And I'm not saying this person was poor or not. I don't know their financial background. But if they are on something like Medicaid, what is the extent of the treatment they're even going to allow this child? Like, especially with this administration who thinks that people who have mental or physical disabilities are just garbage and we're going to throw them out on the farm. Like, it's devastating to me in that respect. I don't get it. And to know that she's got another child, like
5-year-old at home.
Like, yeah. That just absolutely brings me to tears. But I 100% agree with you. As a suburban YT woman, if that would have been me, they would have taken me into emergency surgery as soon as they saw something. It wouldn't have been, oh, we have to schedule the surgery.
No.
And if it was a other YT woman who was rich, they would have had her in the best hospital possible, either doing that surgery.
Well, make no mistake, Emory's a great hospital.
Okay, I wasn't sure what hospital.
Yeah, she's at Emory in Midtown.
I almost went to Emory.
Yep.
So, and,
she's at a good hospital. It's just
very
that,
good.
but she didn't get there but her original hospital was Northside. And it was only when the next day when she was rushed to the hospital, in Midtown, Nicola, she's at Emory in Midtown. But when she was rushed to the hospital, she was rushed to originally Yeah, she's a nurse. I don't know whether she was an LPN or an RN, but I know she was a nurse. So she went to Emory in University and then was transferred to University in Emory in Midtown. And so that's where she's currently
Yeah, I
at.
didn't realize she was at Emory.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I'll just say this, like, I just actually had a brain tumor removed in October, and people in the comments were talking about cancer and things to that sort. And in my experience, a tumor is a ball of cells that continues to grow. The cells are living. They continue to take over, whether it's the blood supply, if there's blood supply to the tumor or whatever it is. At the gestational age that this fetus was at, or embryo was at really, it was just the same as my brain tumor. And I had it removed. And there was no one going to stop me from doing that because it was starting to grow just as an embryo would grow into a fetus. And I would have liked to see someone tell me I couldn't have it removed because it would have been on like Donkey Kong. And the last thing I will leave you with is that in terms of going back to, I'm jumping around here a bit, going back to the husband with care, I will tell you that even as a YT woman living in Ohio, there are times where I've had to take my husband with me for him to speak up and say, no, you don't understand. This is what she's going through.
Mm-hmm.
And her headaches are this bad. And they're like, oh, well, she minimized that. And I'm like, no, I sat here with you in physical pain. You saw me in physical pain. And so I know my voice is not heard. I cannot imagine or even fathom how a Black woman's voice is not heard and how they are silenced.
100%.
So I thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
I hope people get their head out of their rear end. You have a child in the background, so I will not use the words that I want to use.
Oh, I use them all day.
I swear like a sailor around my child, so.
Just saying.
But yeah, I just, there's a lot of FUs that I'd like to throw around.
I think I might have said a few today.
Yeah. So, but that's what I had on my mind. I wanted to say, but I want to give other people a chance on the panel. So I'll just leave it with that. And I am not a prayer person, but my thoughts are definitely with this family
100%.
Because they are suffering.
Yeah. 100%. Incredibly, they are. So yeah.
And
so I appreciate you.
If the child makes it to viability, the fetus makes it to viability, they're going to be suffering too.
Yeah. So for those of you who do not know, the baby has hydrocephalus, like water on the brain. Those things can lead to developmental delays, learning disabilities, nerve damage, vision loss, and unaliving, and all of that. So just so everyone knows that's what's happening right now. So, and they're left with dealing with all of those unknowns as well. So appreciate you, Hazy.
I'll let you kick me because it's good for the algorithm.
Yep. I got you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep. So I've got 3 more folks that are on the panel real quick. I think, so someone in the comments said something about this has got to violate the Geneva Conventions. No, because the Geneva Conventions are international treaties that contain rules limiting the barbarity of war. This is not about being in conflict. This has nothing to do with the Geneva Convention at all. Yeah. So this is about, so the Geneva Convention would talk to you about how civilians and military individuals are treated at times of war. And so that's not it. You are correct, Uka. 15. All right. So Ash the human, what you got for me?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, fantastic.
I have a few things. I have a personal story that like aligns with this woman. So, trigger warning. When I was 17 years old, I was in a relationship, really, really bad relationship. I was sexually abused a lot. I ended up getting pregnant, and I was having pain one day and had to go into the hospital, and I was almost 5 months pregnant. I hadn't done my anatomy scan yet, which you get 3 when you're pregnant. I've been pregnant 9 times.
Girl.
They just, yeah, I know. Well, I've lost a lot.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Sorry, I forgot where I was. I was at the hospital. Okay, so I was having pain. I went to the hospital. They did a scan, and no one that was scanning me would talk to me. they were like, I'll be right back. They went and got a doctor. The doctor came in.
That's never a good
The
sign.
doctor's like, they were like, we have some really bad news. Your baby has pretty much no brain, has severe hydrocephaly. They told me that they're going to send me to a specialist, but from what they see, this is not viable. He's not viable. He will not make it. So me being 17 and in a terrible relationship, I still really wanted this baby. I had gone almost 5 months carrying this baby, and I was going to do everything to just try to talk to any doctor I could. I went to 3 different specialists. We're the only ones who could do this in Texas, where I am. Mm-hmm. And they all told me the same thing. He's not going to make it. He has no brain. And the same situation with this young lady. Her kiddo has, her fetus has has a lot of fluid, and they're not going to know the outcomes of that. It'll get worse, more than likely. I just don't understand what's going on. I have 3 children with uteruses, and I have a lot of pregnancy issues. So I'm terrified for them. We live in Texas. If they get pregnant and something happens during their pregnancy, like has happened to me that many times,
right?
What do we do? You know?
Yeah.
I've thought about moving out of this state just for that reason alone.
I was going to say I think that's the thing. And then what do you do if you're not able to move? What do you do if you're not able to do, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different things about this.
In Texas right now, if something like that were to happen, we can't even leave.
Right.
Like,
correct.
If you leave and come back, you're going to jail.
100% you are. 100% you are.
I've had situations where I have family members who have had friends, teenagers who have had to go out of state after being raped.
Yeah.
It's just crap like this it's unacceptable. It's inhumane. If we don't keep speaking out about this and keep bringing it up, they're just going to try to flush it under the rug like they've always done, just push women aside.
Yep. And the way and so one of the things that I would say about this, because I want to give you guys this really quickly. Girl, you got some loud ass birds. They are on it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Outside, they are everywhere.
Yeah, they do. Okay, but let me just to reiterate something for you guys. I want you guys to I hate that I clicked that. Because Texas passed a law that if you leave the state and have an AB, you will be prosecuted when you get back. That's why. So let me just, I wanted to say this before. Sorry, Ash. I want to, so I don't forget, because I'm down to like 11 minutes. But let me just say this really quickly. Okay, so a couple things. So you heard the person before me that was talking, and she was talking about people not going into medical school and people doing this and da-da-da-da. What we know is that the number of people that are going into medical school and especially for OB, that percentage is down. Enrollment in the medical field is down by like 4% between 2023 and 2024. But in the state of Georgia, where this is occurring with Adriana, Georgia has a total of 159 counties. Out of those 159 counties, 120 of them do not have access to a single hospital that has OB care or a birthing center. Um, 34 counties only have one hospital with OB care or a birthing center. So that means out of Georgia's 159 counties, 154 of them have either no hospital or only one hospital that has access to OB care or a birthing center. And when you have laws that require women to carry past 6 weeks and way before, this is in the Deloitte tool, and way before any development issues are able to be detected, you are without question, putting the lives of women in danger, along with those fetuses and eventual babies. For the women that want to have children, you have put them in danger, just to be clear. So, just wanted to leave you with that.
Also, side note, a part of my story that never gets really caught is that I was having pain and then went to the hospital. The reason for my pain was because my body knew something was wrong with what's growing inside of me and started rebelling against itself.
Yep.
If you are pregnant and you're carrying a child that's not viable, your body will start trying to reject it.
Yep.
So you're causing the women that are in this situation pain also, not just the baby who is suffering inside.
Yep.
I'll just leave that at that.
And by the way, and if you live in the state of South Carolina, they now have introduced a law that says if you miscarry and it's not spontaneous, they get to say that, right? Right. I'm also saying birthing centers. But if it's not a spontaneous miscarriage, and they could say that maybe if you work out, maybe if you ran too much or whatever, they now want women to be able to be charged with schmurder and facing a minimum of 30 years in prison. They are saying if you do something to cause, and who knows what men think. Some men, do y'all remember that they used to think that riding a horse could make you lose your virginity? I'm just telling you, that is a bill that was introduced in South Carolina legislature. The reason why many hospitals close birthing centers and all of that is because they are the most expensive parts of hospitals. They lose money. Right? So just telling you all, that's why. And let me just give you an idea of the entire United States of America. In the entire United States of America, the entire country, there are 3,142 counties total. Out of those 3,142 counties, 1,775 of them, which is 56.49%, have no access to a hospital with OB care or a birthing center. 56.49% of the counties in this country have no hospital, no access to a hospital with OB care or birthing center. And yet you want to force women to have babies. Just saying. Yeah, Ash, I appreciate you sharing. Kayla, the link to this is in my link tree.
I had one more little thing. Not only are they breathing for her, a fetus that's growing inside of a belly needs nutrients. So y'all just think that they're having to feed this woman who is not alive to give their nutrients to the baby also.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep. They are having to ensure that she gets those via IV.
Yep. Okay. Love you lots. I watch you all the time. Of course, I'm an OG.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate you, Ash. Very much so. Sending you lots of love,
sis.
Drop me. Appreciate you. All right. Let me go to Hazel first, because I called on her, but she was muted. Couldn't get unmuted. So I'm going to do her, and then I'm going to end with teacups. I got like 5 minutes.
Danny, you are incredible. I tell you, you have the patience of I don't know what, because today these people got me out of pocket today, and I know they got you out of pocket. You know, the thing about this situation is critical thinking, which a lot of people seem to lack. And you do such a great job trying to, you know, give people details and information, and you talk to them and you're like, you know, let's think about this critically. And for some reason, obviously, they can't do it. So let me help some of these people out. To think critically, you have to identify the situation or question. What is the problem, the topic? Clarify what you're trying to solve. Then you gather relevant information. What do you need to know? What do you not need to know? How do you collect data, evidence, opinion from credible sources?
Yep.
You're aware of biases and assumptions in the information. Then you analyze, interpret the information. What does the evidence suggest? Look for patterns, relationships, inconsistencies, distinguish between facts, opinions, and inferences. Then you evaluate the arguments and evidence. Is this reasonable, logical, and sound?
Right.
Check the strength and the validity of arguments. Identify logical fallacies or weak assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
You consider alternate perspectives. Are there other viewpoints? Explore different interpretations, counter arguments. You take people's opinions, people's stories. This helps to reduce bias and leads to a more balanced conclusion.
Yep.
Then you draw conclusions, right? What's the most reasonable conclusion based on what? Evidence. Your conclusion should always follow logically from your analysis. Avoid overgeneralizing or making unsupported claims. Then you communicate your reasoning clearly. You present your conclusion, how you reached it. You reflect on the process and consider it from many different
perspectives. Yeah.
So, you can look at the situation from the viewpoint of those who impose this heartbeat law, right? You can look at it from there. Well, what is their basis for doing this? Obviously, it's a whole religious, moral thing that they want to impose, right? Then you can.
I don't think it's that. Let me just say this. I don't think it's a religious, moral thing. I really don't, because they don't have no damn morals. And so let me tell you what.
Control thing.
Yeah. So let me tell you what I believe. I believe that the religion is the mechanism in which they get the buy-in to make this happen. But what it comes down to is very simple, right? They need to increase the birth rate of this country. And they need to retain the racial power that has existed in this country since its inception, which is white people. And so those are the two driving forces between what is happening here in this country.
And you're correct. And the reason why I say it's religion is because that's the cover, right?
Yep.
It's that they use that religious, morality thing as a cover. Then you can look at it from the viewpoint of the hospital, right? Like, what are they doing? Why are they forced to do what they do? And then you can look at it from the viewpoint of the family, So everyone, each has their reasoning and their bias as to what. So now you come to a conclusion. The conclusion should always be when the person is not available to give their, obviously, their feedback or what they need to say or their claim, is to listen to the family. It's to listen to the family, respect the wishes of the family, because no one knows her better. No one is more involved than her family. And the fact that they are saying this is not what we want for her is so disrespectful to this woman and to the family. It's unbelievable. And there's laws when you are tampering with a corpse. What they are doing is tampering with a corpse.
But they're not. And that's the thing that people don't get. She is technically on. Yeah, I know. I feel like he'd be watching my live sometimes. Hold on. Hold on. Let me let him know. Yep. I'm on it. And we'll be there. Okay. That was my journalist saying, hey, reminder, we have an interview at 3 in 30 minutes. But yeah, so what was I saying?
That she's not. They're not.
Yeah, they're
tampering with
not
her
because she's not technically a corpse. She's not technically a corpse. And now we're at the point where there is now a fetus where there wasn't at the beginning. And so that's just kind of where we are at this point. That's why the doctors, they're not tampering. Everything that they're doing is medically sound. So yeah, but I hear you.
And I thank you for everything. I just want to let you know that for those people who can't think critically,
Hey, why do you have
are
your phone?
always going to be a target for people to manipulate you. And that is why we are where we are, is because people are being manipulated and have voted for this administration and everything that is going along with it. So I just wanted to say that. And thank you so much.
Okay. Yep. I appreciate you, Hazel. Come back. Love you much. T, thank you. T, what you got? Yes, baby. I don't care. Don't eat them
Go
all.
ahead and go. This has to be one of the most horrific stories I've ever heard. I don't know how this got by me, but I hope you don't mind. I'm not going to let this go. Whether it be me, you, or us together, I'm not going to let this go.
Yeah.
I have one quick question. Am I to understand that even if she had a living will and a DNR, that the state's decision supersedes her living will and DNR?
Yeah, the DNR, none of that comes into play.
Outrageous.
None of that comes into play. When she unalived from the bleeding on her brain, she was only 9 weeks. So there was nothing viable. There was nothing. The state law, because she was past 6 weeks, state law required the hospital to keep that. They could not. They would have been doing quote unquote right. So there was no need to resuscitate because she was brain unalive, right?
Yeah.
But if the hospital took her off life support, they would be terminating the pregnancy, and that violates Georgia law.
Go to your meeting. I'm not going to let this
Okay.
go. I will have it on later, whatever. I love you. Thank you for bringing
Love
this
you all,
to my
but
attention. I feel stupid, but anyway.
No, you're not.
I'll see you later.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Love you much. Bye, guys.